Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Awakening failed. It doesn't matter, I am a cultivator. Chapter 1. Classmates. The next step is the career awakening ceremony. I don't need to explain the importance of the awakening ceremony. What can you do in the future? What profession can you awaken to? Is it driving screws, delivering food, or working as a security guard? Whether you are high or low, it all depends on your career awakening later. I hope you will use your full energy, go all out, and awaken the style of our second class. Don't be compared to the group of people in Class 1. Spring March, Baiyun City, Baiyun Middle School, Class 2, Grade 3. The morning sunlight shone brightly through the window, illuminating the young man's handsome face. In the back seat by the window, Chen held his chin up and looked at the head teacher who was speaking passionately and motivating people on the podium. He sighed inwardly as he didn't even realize that his wig had fallen off. Although he has been in this world for 18 years, listening to Lao Ban saying these words emotionally, he was still a little dazed. This world is different from the blue star in the previous life. In the wilds of the city, ferocious beasts are everywhere, and dangers are everywhere. Ordinary people basically cannot survive in the wild. This is why the world is more technologically advanced, with mechas, soldiers, modified humans, and even men's favorite Gundam. More importantly, the world is more technologically advanced. Every citizen in this world can have a career awakening when they reach the age of 18. Professional awakening is full of strange things, and the gap between the upper and lower levels is also extremely high. Some people can only awaken to life-related professions such as cooking, carpentry, blacksmithing, flower watering, tree planting. But some people can awaken warriors, mages, priests, mechanics, mecha masters, summoners, and other combat professions. Between the two, there is no doubt that the combat profession is more sought after, has a more noble status, and is needed by the world. A child from an ordinary lower-class family can achieve a class jump as long as he can awaken to the combat profession. On the contrary, if he is a child of a wealthy family and awakens to the life profession, he will lose his position in an instant and become a marginal figure in the family's logistics. The reality is so cruel. In this world, it can be said that professional awakening is a lifelong process. Which profession you can awaken will also mean how high your upper and lower limits can be in the future, and how great your achievements can be. Whether you are struggling in the quagmire, savoring the ups and downs, still doing nothing, or jumping to the dragon gate. To reach the sky in one step, marry Bai Fumei, and reach the pinnacle of life, it all depends on what kind of career they can awaken today. Of course, there are no absolutes. Just like a bricklayer named Joker on the internet, Yu Xiaoguang once said. There are no useless professions, only useless people. Young man, don't be discouraged. Even if you have a career in life, you can still shine in this world. This sentence of Zhuan's family once became a wise saying for many failed awakenings and was sought after by others. Because among the people who awakened the life profession in the past, there were indeed some people who were the best and possessed the innate sacred body. Even the lowest life professions were able to shine in their hands. For example, the owner of innate dusting sacred body 3 years ago, one person can support a construction team, and it is not a problem to make millions a year. Another example is the owner of innate sacred body 2 years ago. One person can support a company with 996,007 holidays all year round and make a lot of money. The boss smiled. However, there are very few innate sacred body owners who can awaken the combat profession and reach the sky in one step. No one wants to struggle after awakening the life profession. So this moment, under the encouragement of Lao Ban. Although everyone in the class knows the cruelty and randomness of awakening, the students are more excited than nervous. I don't know, what profession will I awaken later? Baiyun Middle School. In the school square, among the team of Class 2 of Grade 3, looking at the awakening ceremony starting in front, the crowd couldn't help but burst into nervous and excited chatter. I don't have high demands. I just need to awaken a Dharma Master or a Shield Father. You can pull him down, you can also awaken the Master. Father, your small body can awaken a blank warrior, but the smoke is rising from the ancestral grave. Someone was arguing in the front. As we all know, among all the combat professions, the mage has high attack and the shield hero has high defense. A team may not have other fancy professions, but the two professions, the mage and the shield hero, are absolutely indispensable. Otherwise, if your eldest father is not here, who will take care of the harm for you? Without a mage, who does the team rely on for output, but archers and warriors? It's too low, you know. People have all kinds of fireballs, fire dragons, explosion magic, full map AoE, gorgeous attacks and high damage, but you are there shooting arrows, or taking a sword and slashing, you look like not low. It is precisely because of this that among all professionals, mages are usually called masters, and teammates are called shield fathers. As long as these two major professions can be awakened, the lowest is a B-level profession, and most are even A-level. It can be said that as long as these two combat professions are awakened, they will not be too bad in the future, and they will be a group of people that every team will be happy to recruit. I just don't know if there will be any S-level hidden professions in our session. Hidden profession, don't even think about it. Although in this world, most citizens are likely to awaken to a profession after the age of 18, but even so, those who can awaken to an S-level profession are very rare. For example, in Baiyun City, among the 100,000 candidates in the previous session, there are only 2 or 3 S-level professionals, 1 in a million, but nothing more than that. Once it appears, it will be the target of competition among major university groups. In the future, if there is no accident, everyone will basically be able to enter the high-end level of human race. Naturally, such a proud person is something that many ordinary people would not dare to think about. But, if anyone in our generation can really awaken an S-level talent, then I'm afraid. Sun Chang, the squad leader of the second class, turned back and looked at the back of the team. There, the dark-skinned Zhao Gang touched Su Chen with his elbow and asked curiously, "Brother Chen, what profession do you want to awaken?" As if he heard Zhao Gang's inquiry, in front of Su Chen, a stunningly beautiful girl with beautiful clothes, pure and lustful looks, and beautiful long pink hair turned her head, her beautiful eyes sparkling. This girl is none other than Bai Ruizu, one of the 4 beauties of Baiyun Middle School. The two are tablemates and have a good relationship. In Baiyun Middle School, Su Chen is a figure who belongs to the ranks of legends. Not only is he the most handsome, but he also has the best academic performance. From kindergarten, to elementary school, to junior high school, and now to high school, he has ranked first in every exam, and all the 4 campus beauties of Baiyun Middle School are under his control. Breathless, he is a true academic master. And that's not all. It didn't matter that Su Chen had good grades in liberal arts. What really made people envious and respectfully call him Su Shen was his extremely superb martial Dao grades. The blood value is 9.0. This world is full of crises. Even if you have not yet awakened professionally, the school will naturally prepare for some martial Dao courses in advance. The blood value is used to measure the strength of the martial artist. Generally speaking, the qi and blood value of a normal person is 1.0. If it is less than 1.0, it means that the physique is a little weak, and if it is greater than 1.0, it means that the physique is strong. Normally, the qi and blood value of the king of soldiers in the special forces is about 2.0, which is twice that of ordinary people. But Su Chen's energy and blood value was far 9 times higher than theirs. To put it simply, in the martial Dao class, when they competed with Su Chen, they always used the mode of college students beating kindergarten children, leaving them unable to fight with both hands and feet. And it's been almost a month. Maybe he has become stronger again. What a monster. Squad leader Sun Chang and others looked at Su Chen with fear in their eyes. Because of this, although he was unhappy and heartbroken that Goddess Ruizu paid so much attention to Su Chen, Sun Chang had to admit it. If any boy in their class could awaken an S-level talent, then besides Su Chen, he couldn't think of anyone else. So when he heard Zhao Gang asking Su Chen what career he hoped to awaken, despite being worried in his heart, the students around him also held their breath and pricked up their ears. They also want to know what profession Su Chen wants to awaken. However, it doesn't matter. I'm not interested in a career. Su Chen shrugged and replied. It's Versailles, isn't it, Brother Chen? Good friend Gangzi gave Su Chen a roll of his eyes. Although there is no necessary connection between awakening professional level, academic performance and martial Dao level, judging from the past rules, there is a high probability that the awakening ability of academic masters with good academic performance and high blood value will not be too bad. So regarding Su Chen's answer, the squad leader and others just thought that Su Chen was showing off. Is the gap between people so big? While we were still worrying about awakening to the garbage life profession, Su Shendu has already said that he is not interested in the profession. This is the certainty that we will awaken to a level A or above profession. He must be deliberately showing off in front of my goddess Ruyu to attract the attention of my goddess. Feeling the gnashing eyes around him, Su Chen looked around and felt speechless. He knew that the squad leader and others might have misunderstood him, But, I really don't care what profession I awaken. I am a cultivator. Cultivation panel not fully unlocked, unlocking progress 98%. Name, Su Chen. Cultivation level, not yet advanced. After the health value reaches 10.0 and you enter the level, you can fully unlock the immortal cultivation panel, and you will be rewarded with the perfect foundation building method during the introduction. Current Qi and blood value, 9.8 1.0 for ordinary people. Today's tip, none yet. While waiting for his career awakening on stage, Su Chen took the time to check his immortality panel. This was his little benefit as a transmigrator, a virtual panel that could help him cultivate immortality. He can become an immortal, so what profession does it still matter to him? What profession can be stronger than him in cultivating immortality? It was precisely because of this that Su Chen said it didn't matter to Gangzi's inquiry. He really didn't have any requirements for what profession he would awaken. Being able to awaken a good profession was just the icing on the cake for him. The awakened profession was poor. Not even awakening can affect him. On the contrary, Su Chen was more interested in what changes would happen after his immortal cultivation panel was fully unlocked, and what kind of perfect foundation building method would be rewarded to him than what kind of profession he could awaken today. This is the immortal cultivation panel. Although I have been transmigrating to this world with him for 18 years, it has never been fully unlocked. The unlocking standard requires his Qi and blood value to reach 10.0. Therefore, in order to increase his Qi and blood value over the years, Su Chen has carried out strict exercise every day according to the training suggestions on the panel prompts. He has never stopped doing various tasks such as 10 kilometers of parkour, 1,000 push-ups, pretending to be sitting on the bench but actually walking on horseback for a class, etc. He has never stopped doing various tasks to strengthen his body and increase his energy and blood. It is precisely because of this that he became a martial Dao genius in the eyes of people around him. Before he even awakened as a professional, he already had a vitality value that was 8 or 9 times higher than that of his peers and was even about to enter the rank 1 martial artist realm. And this is what Su Chen is looking forward to. After more than 10 years of unremitting efforts, his Qi and blood value finally reached 9.8. With only the last 0.2 Qi and blood increase, his Qi and blood value can reach 10.0 to meet the unlocking requirements of the cultivation panel, obtain the cultivation technique, and truly start his journey of cultivating immortality. And Su Chen also had a premonition. Today, I'm afraid that after today's cultivation tips are released, I will be able to fully unlock the cultivation panel. The immortal cultivation panel will not issue tasks to him, but will only give him some tips and suggestions on how to pay and gain during cultivation. Ding! Today's practice suggestions are released 1/3. Check that you are about to awaken your talent. Later you can choose to sacrifice your talent profession to obtain additional immortality cultivation techniques. The higher the level of your talent profession, the higher the final level of your immortality cultivation techniques. Closing square bracket. Just when Su Chen was about to look away from the immortal cultivation panel, a reminder for the day suddenly appeared on the immortal cultivation panel. Can I gain immortality skills by sacrificing the talent profession? Su Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. Just now he said that he had a feeling that he could start the path of cultivating immortals today. Unexpectedly, the cultivation techniques for cultivating immortals would be arranged immediately. As for the sacrifice of the talent profession in order to obtain the exchange conditions for the skills, Su Chen didn't think about it at all. No matter how strong the talent profession is, even if he awakens the supreme SSS level profession talent, he is still a bound member in this vast world of mortals. But the method of cultivating immortals is a method of transcendence, which can make him the only immortal in the mortal world and transcendence in the world. There is no need to think about how to choose between the two paths. Old Money, professional cook. Old Wu, he is a farmer by profession. Lao Wang, a screwdriver by profession. Quote. It was also at this time that on the high platform ahead, the professional awakening test came to their third year class 2. Serving dishes, delivering food, looking after the door, there are all kinds of occupations. No, my father has long said that I, Wang Tang, have the qualifications of a great emperor since I was a child. How can I be a screwdriver? Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. I, Kai Shuquan, awakened not as a Kunkan summoner, but as a basketball player. How can I believe this? There is something wrong. There must be something wrong with the awakening crystal. I am the Dragon King, my name is the Dragon King. I am a young man of 17 or 18 years old who has not awakened to the S-level Shira god of war profession, but has awakened to the profession of guarding the gate. What do you mean? Do I like to be a security guard? No, I, Yi Fan, will never accept my fate and will never go to the construction site to deliver takeaways. I want to defy heaven. I want to defy heaven. There were cries of ghosts and wolves howling around. Wang Tang, Kai Shuquan, Long Wang, Yi Fan, etc., these people who had awakened to the ox-horse lifestyle profession, were obviously stimulated, and they were shouting and howling in a disorderly manner. After all, in this era of national awakening, for many ordinary people, awakening to a career is a lifelong journey. Just like Wang Tang and others, their occupations are screwdrivers, farmers, food delivery people, gatekeepers. These professional labels have been severely imprinted on them, so how can other industries be possible? For them, if there is no powerful help in the family, I'm afraid it will be like this for the rest of their lives. Never be able to stand up again. Such a miserable scene made the students at the back of class 2 of the third year who had not yet started to tremble when they saw it. It also made some of the students in front who were awakened to the combat profession but were still a little dissatisfied quickly rejoice after seeing it. He patted his chest. Fortunately, although we are just ordinary warriors, we are still warriors. In the future, if we join any guild, we can earn hundreds of thousands a year. If we live a little better, earning $1 million a year will not be a problem. Oh, I was a little sad just now. As a man who has awakened to the profession of nanny, I will be criticized by others for my small milk supply and no one will want me. Now it seems that we at least have some breasts, unlike people like Wang Tang who are screwdrivers. It's really tragic. We were classmates sitting together an hour ago, but now our status has been turned upside down. From now on, they and we will be people in two different worlds. When we see each other again, Wang Tang and Yi all of them should call us the Awakening Master. Ha ha. There were those who were gloating over their misfortune, those who were in the same situation, or those who were laughing and taunting. All kinds of voices sounded in the square. Being poor in the busy city and having no one to care about, being rich in the mountains with distant relatives, the scenes on the awakening stage are just like the various aspects of life. Class every 3 years, Lang Ruyu, professional talent, Hanyu Walker. Level SS. At this moment, the teacher's excited and shocked announcement suddenly came from the front. Chen raised his head following the sound. On the awakening stage, a beautiful girl with snow-white skin, slender legs and cold goddess-like temperament cast an arrogant and provocative look at him. Wow, SS level talent. Awesome. SS level talent profession. Not to mention our Baiyun city, there are only a few in the whole country. I am indeed the goddess Ruyu. The appearance of the first SS level talent immediately caused a sensation on the scene. If you are lucky in the S-level profession, one can be born in a big city, then the SS level talent can only be looked at across the country. In hundreds of cities and billions of people, there can only be 1 or 2 absolute talents. Prodigy, once it appears, will basically lock in the position of the top scorer in this year's college entrance examination. It is an important weapon of the country. The leading monster who will compete with myriad races in the future can be said to be 1 in a billion. And now, a genius like this, 1 in a billion, appeared in their Baiyun city. This made all the big guys on the auditorium laugh out loud instantly. It even made the 80-year-old principal of Baiyun No. 1 middle school laugh so hard that his face was red and his beard was flying around, and he cheered loudly. Okay. S's level talent Hanyu Walker. Ruyu is truly worthy of being the lord of the city. Your daughter, with such a talent, she might be able to get the top spot in the national college entrance examination in 3 months. Ha ha ha. Sitting next to the principal was a tall, middle-aged man with slightly white temples and a Chinese character face. This middle-aged man is the city lord of Baiyun City, Lang Ruyu's father, Lang Wudi. At this moment, his majestic face is full of pride, and he laughs wildly. My daughter is number one in the world. Who is in favor? Who is against? Naturally, no one dared to object to Lang Wudi's words, but his good friend Gangzi in the crowd withdrew his gaze and winked at Su Chen. Look, look, look. Lang Ruyu is looking at you. How about it? Does brother Chen have the confidence to surpass her? As the daughter of the city lord, Lang Ruyu is also one of the 4 campus beauties of Baiyun Middle School. She is beautiful, has a cold personality, and has perfect academic performance in all aspects. She has the air of an iceberg goddess and has countless suitors around her. But she has never had a crush on anyone. After seeing her a few times, she only pays more attention to Su Chen, who always puts her down in every exam. Although she doesn't show much on the surface, it is unavoidable in her heart. He held back his breath and wanted to surpass Su Chen. And now, snort, Lang Ruyu raised her white chin slightly, looking at Su Chen with a more provocative look. She has already awakened the SS level talent. Unless Su Chen can awaken the SS level talent, he can at best be tied with her. Not to mention, although she felt that Su Chen was indeed the second best peer she had ever seen, SS level talents were not easily awakened. Maybe Su Chen could only awaken an S level talent and lose to her. Yes, even Lang Ruyu, who regarded Su Chen as a competitor in her heart, never thought about the possibility of Su Chen awakening the life system or failing in awakening, and even assigned Su Chen the position of S level talent at the lowest level. Not to mention everyone else. Next person, Su Chen, Class 2, Grade 3. Please come on stage. When the teacher in charge of awakening called Su Chen's name, countless attention immediately came from the surrounding area. Goddess Kasaragi, who is only the second in grade, has already awakened an SS level talent. Shouldn't Su Shen, who is the first in grade, have awakened an SS level talent? Impossible. Looking at the country for decades, there may not be one S's level talent profession. No matter how abnormal Su Chen is, he will not awaken an S's level talent. I estimate that at most it will be the same as the goddess Lang Ruyu. Doubles talent. This kid is Su Chen, your precious kid from No. 1 Middle School. The crowd in the square started talking a lot, and the big boss from No. 1 Middle School on the viewing platform also set their sights on Su Chen. Yes, Lord City Lord, he is Su Chen. Snort. I would like to see what kind of professional talent this boy can awaken today, and whether he can surpass my Ruyu. Lang Wudi looked at Su Chen below, his tone slightly unhappy. After all, as an old father, it was strange that he would be happy to see the pretty boy who had kept his excellent daughter under him for 3 years. Haha, Lord City Lord, please don't joke. Miss Lang Ruyu has already awakened her SS level talent. No matter how good Su Chen is, how can he surpass Miss Lang Ruyu? The principal beside him laughed out loud. What he said is true. After all, the only ones who can surpass SS level talents are SS level talents, and SS level supreme talents are too legendary to be realistic for people like them. So even though they were very optimistic about Su Chen, according to their estimation, it would be best if they could awaken an SS level talent like Lang Ruyu. But, even though he had this estimate in his heart, the principal's eyes when looking at Su Chen sparkled with some unrealistic brilliance. Although it is said that S's level talent can be encountered but cannot be sought, but what if it happens? Su Chen is the most talented student he has seen in all the years since the school was founded. What if a SSS level talent awakens? This thought was not limited to the principal. The students on both sides of the road, the teacher in front, and even Lang Ruyu himself clenched their fists nervously, staring unblinkingly at Su Chen as he walked onto the awakening stage. Come on. As he passed by, his deskmate Bai Ruizu cheered him up with a cute fist, revealing a pair of white little tiger teeth. Such a scene that attracted everyone's attention. Su Chen's mouth twitched. He had already decided to sacrifice his career and start the path of cultivating immortality. As a result, so many people looked at him and were inevitably speechless. However, Su Chen suppressed these thoughts while looking at the professional awakening crystal ball in front of him. A hint of expectation gradually rose in his eyes. I don't know what level of talent he will awaken. After all, the higher the professional talent level, the stronger the immortal cultivation skills he can get after making sacrifices. I hope I can directly obtain an immortal emperor level immortal cultivation technique. Student Su Chen, please put your hand on the awakening crystal. Hold your breath and concentrate, feel carefully. Calling for a career. The teacher in charge of awakening briefly introduced the method of awakening the profession to Su Chen in a respectful and polite voice. The details of the process made all the students in the audience look amused. Why are you not so patient with us? You just say a few words to get rid of us. Why do you say so much to others? This is too different. Having just successfully awakened the A-level shield hero profession, squad leader Sun Chang, who was in a period of high spirits, couldn't help but murmur. Shish, Sun Chang, please stop talking. Don't disturb brother Su Chen's awakening. Bai Ruizu warned Sun Chang with a serious face. As one of the 4 beauties of Baiyun Middle School, unlike Lang Ruyu, who is as cold as the iceberg goddess, Bai Ruizu has a more gentle and considerate personality. She is the dream lover of many male classmates, Bai Yugong. But at this moment, the lover of his dreams didn't care if he called him brother, and unexpectedly warned himself seriously not to disturb other men. This simply made Sun Chang feel heartbroken. Sun Chang covered his heart in an exaggerated manner. He did not dare to say anything to Bai Ruizu and could only cast a pair of resentful eyes on Su Chen. But what happened offstage did not affect Su Chen. After listening to Teacher Awakening's detailed introduction, Su Chen nodded, slowly closed his eyes, and put his hand on the awakening crystal. Awaken, my destiny profession. Wow! The moment Su Chen put his palm on the professional crystal, a dazzling light bloomed instantly. The world in Su Chen's eyes became white and holy, with countless brilliant lights of red, orange, yellow, green, blue and purple flying by like meteors. In the dark, he seemed to hear such a vague conversation. Someone else came in. At this age, he has a vitality value of 9.8 without nourishment by drugs. The little guy has pretty good qualifications. What profession should I give him this time? Talent. Whatever, you are not a descendant of our blood. Old man, what did you throw out just now? What is it? Isn't it just an S level? Huh. Oops, I accidentally saw it wrong just now. What sound? Su Chen frowned slightly. He had never heard that he could hear other people talking during the awakening process. I don't know if it was his misunderstanding, but just when he was about to listen quietly, the faint scolding in the ears gradually disappeared, and was replaced by a golden meteor, flying from behind countless colorful meteor groups. Carrying extremely dazzling light, it crashed into his chest. In an instant, a piece of career information appeared in Su Chen's mind. Occupation: Son of Destiny. Closing square bracket. Ability: from now on, you are the biological son of heaven. You will pick up treasures wherever you go. You will have adventures when you jump off a cliff. Even if you stay at home, there will be countless opportunities that will fall on your head. In a word, no matter what you are doing, even if you are peeing, as long as you shake your tiger body and show your domineering attitude, countless brothers will worship you, noble people will help you, and beautiful women will throw themselves into your arms. Closing square bracket. Level: S's S level. Closing square bracket. Hold the grass. S's S level profession: Son of Destiny. After receiving the career information in his mind, Su Chen suddenly trembled. Although he was also a little curious about what level of profession he would awaken, he still didn't expect to be able to awaken the highest SSS level talent. And this talent is the Son of Destiny. The description of the Destiny's Child's ability on the career panel made Su Chen's lips twitch. He was indeed a SSS level Destiny's Child. Even he was a little moved by this heaven-defying ability. Ding! SSS level foreign object intrusion detected. Closing square bracket. Whether to sacrifice. Closing square bracket. After making a sacrifice, you can get additional training techniques: immortal grade, heaven swallowing demon technique, swallowing heaven and earth, swallowing everything. Closing square bracket. Sacrifice. As soon as the reminder on the cultivation panel appeared, Su Chen chose to sacrifice without hesitation. Although the SS's level Supreme Professional Destiny's Child looks very exciting. But now, times have changed, and the Son of Destiny has long been reduced to a high-risk industry. He does not want to be targeted by some insidious villain of destiny, who plots and causes trouble all day long. And in the final analysis, the son of destiny is just the son of heaven. If you are happy, I will give you a date. If you are not happy, I will give you a slap. It's nothing like the heaven-swallowing demon technique. Although I don't know what immortal grade is and whether it is the immortal emperor level, people have shown that it can even swallow heaven and earth, and the pattern is already. Suddenly, Chen, who was about to sacrifice his SS-level career, was stunned for a moment. Magic power. Yes, it is true that he wants to cultivate immortality, but why reward him with a magic skill? But forget it. There is no distinction between good and evil in martial arts, only talents. Chen shook his head, no longer thinking about these things, and allowed the immortal cultivation panel to devour and sacrifice the career panel of his destiny child. And in this process, outside world, people could only see that when Chen put his hand on the crystal ball, the golden light suddenly emitted, which was eye-catching and shocked countless people. This is the city lord, principal and other big shots on the auditorium stood up in shock and slapped the table. It's countless times louder than the previous awakening of the goddess Lang Ruyu. Could it be that Chen has really awakened to SSS level talent? Oh my god, Chen surpasses me. The crowd was filled with excitement. Bai Ruizu, the goddess of Sun Chang, the second-class monitor in the third year, looked at Chen with joy in her beautiful eyes. Her joy was beyond words, and it seemed that she was even more joyful than when she had just awakened the S-level high priest of light profession. Happy. See it. Have you seen it? That's my husband. In addition to Bai Ruizu, there was another girl in the team of Class 3 next door. She was a pretty and pleasant-looking woman with light makeup who had an airport parked on her chest. She hugged her best friend and shouted with joy. She was jumping and hopping, and looked very lively. This woman was Zhao Xiaoya, one of the 4 school beauties of Beiyun Middle School. Although the relationship was not clear, the two of them were always inseparable, and maybe they were really in love secretly. Thinking of this possibility, people around them immediately cast envious eyes on Zhao Xiaoya. This look greatly satisfied Zhao Xiaoya's vanity, and her face was full of pride. And the 4 school beauties were different from Bai Ruizu and Zhao Xiaoya. Lang Ruyu, who was standing aside, bit her lower lip tightly after seeing the dazzling light on Chen. Her eyes were full of tension, and there was even a bit of pity on her cold face. She had been pressed under Chen for 3 years, couldn't she be on top once? Is the gap between people really that big? Class monitor Sun Chang, looking at Chen on the stage covered by golden light, couldn't help crying and pounding the ground. Just now, he was feeling very proud of awakening the A-level shield hero profession, thinking that he would show off to his goddess Bai Ruizu later, take the goddess to level up, and show his resistance to damage when breaking through the dungeon. Maybe he would have a chance to win the beauty. I didn't expect Chen to awaken the supreme SSS talent. How can I compete with him for the goddess Ruizu? Compared with him, my A-level professional shield hero is just a piece of shit. Woo wow, the tough guy cried. Wow, destroyed. Destroyed. At this moment, there was a sudden noise from the crowd, and Sun Chang, who was crying and beating the ground, looked up. I saw the dazzling golden light on the awakening stage, after a twist. It did not show the name and level of the profession like those in front, but twisted like a bubble and collapsed. This sudden change, not to mention the students below, even the teacher in charge of awakening in front of Chen, was stunned for a long time before announcing with a complicated expression. Chen, Class 2, Grade 3. Awakening failed. Hua hua hua. As soon as these words came out, they instantly stirred up thousands of waves in the crowd like a boulder falling into a lake. What? Awakening failed? Did I hear it wrong? Someone said in disbelief. Chen is the top student in Beiyun Middle School who has been ranked first in the grade for 3 consecutive years. It's okay if he didn't awaken a powerful combat profession, but how could he fail to awaken? You know, even Dragon King, Yi Fan, Kai Shuquan and the like have awakened life professions. In this era of universal awakening, even the simplest life profession has not been awakened successfully. What does it mean? It means he has been abandoned by this era. In the future, he will be the lowest of the lowest, and he may not even be able to take the college entrance examination. On the high platform, the principal or the city lord Lang Wudi frowned, sat down slowly, and looked at Chen below with complex and regretful eyes, and even a little more pity. No, impossible. Will there be a mistake? The class teacher of Su Chen under the awakening stage asked aloud with some unacceptable. Lang Ruyu in Class 1 awakened an SS level profession, and their Class 2 was waiting for Su Chen to turn the tables for them, otherwise according to the bet, he would have to give his butt to the class teacher of Class 1 later, and he couldn't stand it. No mistake. There is no problem with the professional awakening crystal. Su Chen did fail to awaken. Failed to awaken any profession. The teacher in charge of publicity gave the verified answer again. This cruel reality made the class teacher sit on the ground with his butt covered, muttering in his mouth. The awakening really failed. The first in the whole school, Su Chen, who has been called for 3 years, turned out to be a waste who failed to awaken. He is not even as good as me, Brother Kun. How powerful is your Brother Kun? Ha ha ha. Su Chen, Su Chen, Su shit. Su Chen is just a piece of shit in front of my son Cheng's A-level professional shield hero. The news confirmed again from the awakening officer caused a roar from the audience. Su Chen walked down the stage with a calm face. He was not angry because of the harsh ridicule of the crowd, and even wanted to laugh. Because, ding, SSS level professional talent, the sacrifice of the Son of Destiny is completed. Closing square bracket. Heaven swallowing demon technique has been issued. Closing square bracket. Grade, immortal grade. General outline: swallowing the sky and the earth, swallowing everything, all spirits and things are nutrients. Closing square bracket. In the process of swallowing and sacrificing just now, Su Chen also knew something about the heaven swallowing demon technique he had received as a reward. He didn't know the specific level, but according to the introduction, he could use everything as nutrients to strengthen himself. He could not only devour the blood of fierce beasts, but also sacrifice the entire world and devour the entire universe in the future. This is not more than the future development space of awakening S-level SS level talent. The A-level shield hero talent is just a pile of shit in front of his heaven-swallowing demon technique. With this immortal cultivation technique, how could Su Chen care about these words in his ears? It's just to see what he says for now, and I will see you in the future. Cultivation panel not fully unlocked, unlocking progress 98%. Name: Su Chen. Cultivation level not yet advanced. After the health value reaches 10.0 and enters the level, the immortal cultivation panel can be fully unlocked, and a set of immortal cultivation techniques for novices will be rewarded during the introduction. Technique: Immortal grade heaven swallowing demon technique will be distributed together with the novice foundation building immortal law after the cultivation panel is fully unlocked. Current chi and blood value 9.8 1.0 for ordinary people. Today's suggestion: 1. Directly sacrifice the talent profession completed. 2. Go to the martial Dao classroom and practice fighting skills seriously for 2 hours to gain 0.1 health value not completed. 3. Go to the running playground and sprint 100 laps as fast as possible to get a health value plus 0.1 unfinished. After walking down from the viewing platform, Su Chen looked at his cultivation panel. Although the heaven swallowing demon technique was not directly sent to him and he could not practice it immediately, he was not in a hurry. Today's 2 tips that can increase the health value have appeared. And when all is completed, it will increase his chi and blood value by exactly 0.2. Bringing his chi and blood value to the standard of 10.0. At that time, not only will the immortal cultivation panel be fully unlocked, you can also get 2 major methods of cultivating immortals, the newcomer foundation building immortal law and the heaven swallowing demon technique. It's really a double happiness. Su Chen raised the corner of his mouth. Chen, brother Chen, are you okay? Seeing that Su Chen failed to awaken, his good friend Gangzi was not sad but was still smiling. He was a little worried and approached to ask, "What can happen to me?" But brother Chen, you. Gangzi wanted to say something else, but looking at Su Chen's calm expression, he knew he was hiding his hurt with a smile. As a good brother, if he asked any more questions at this time, he would expose someone's wounds. Out of the idea of taking care of Su Chen's mood, Zhao Gang did not continue to ask questions and expressed his belief with a smile. I knew brother Chen that you wouldn't be knocked down by something like this. Don't worry, brother, I have awakened the A-level guardian knight. From now on, brother, I will help you level up. Although he understood that Zhao Gang might have misunderstood something, Su Chen was still a little touched by Zhao Gang's kindness. He patted Zhao Gang on the shoulder. Good brother, I accept your wishes. But I won't interfere too much with the leveling in the dungeon later. I have something to do now and have to go back to the classroom. The novice dungeon is a leveling place specially prepared by the school for students who have completed their professional awakening. According to previous practice, after their professional awakening, they will then freely form a team and enter the dungeon to level up, and their strength will skyrocket. But these obviously have nothing to do with Su Chen. What he needs to do now is to carry out 2 hours of fighting practice, sprint 100 laps on the playground, and complete today's 2 small tasks to completely unlock the immortality panel. So after declining Gangzi's invitation, Su Chen turned around and left. He can't wait to become an immortal. However, when Zhao Gang saw Su Chen's anxious departure, he felt a little sad. Because he knew that Su Chen was pretending to be strong in front of him. If there is something urgent going back to the classroom, I'm afraid he should just go back and cry silently. Zhao Gang clenched his fists and made up his mind to take good care of Su Chen's mood in the future and try not to show his strong strength in front of Su Chen. You can't hurt brother Chen's self-esteem. Su Chen, let's break up. However, at this moment, a harsh voice sounded behind him. Attracted a lot of people's attention. Su Chen stepped on his feet and turned around to see a young girl with a slender figure wearing a green dress and an airport parked on her chest, staring at him with her beautiful eyes. Zhao Xiaoya, the school beauty from class 3 next door. Because his father is a martial Dao teacher, and Su Chen has the best grades in martial Dao and often uses the martial Dao classroom to practice, it is inevitable that he has a lot of contact with Zhao Xiaoya. The opponent would often lie outside the window and peek when he was practicing, and he would also keep chasing him. However, looking at Zhao Xiaoya in front of him, Su Chen frowned slightly. What do you mean by breaking up? Zhao Xiaoya, I remember I never promised to be your boyfriend. Humph. Zhao Xiaoya's face turned red, with a hint of embarrassment. Indeed, although she had always called Su Chen her husband in the past, Su Chen had never agreed. But none of that matters now. What matters is that she is angry now. She has had a dream since she was a child, that is, to find a powerful second-generation rich man as her boyfriend. Although Su Chen did not meet this condition, Su Chen showed full potential in the past, and he was handsome, so she has been chasing Su Chen for the past 3 years. But who would have thought that Su Chen failed to awaken? Without any career, talent can only be a low-level trash in the future, not to mention that it also made her embarrassed in front of her best friends. 3 years of her youth were all wasted. The more she thought about this, the angrier she became. Zhao Xiaoya snorted without asking. Su Chen, let's break up. Don't bother me again in the future. I'm an A-level wet nurse with a promising career, and I don't want to be with a loser who failed to awaken. My boyfriend needs to have an S-level professional no matter what. When talking about her career as a wet nurse, Zhao Xiaoya was very proud of her airport. As we all know, among all professions, wet nurses are extremely special and irreplaceable. Even if they are only A-level wet nurses, in a sense, they are more valuable than some S-level professions. Therefore, Zhao Xiaoya does have the capital to be proud of, but the amount of milk may be a bit small. But apparently some people just like small ones. I think it's cute even though it's small. Therefore, after Zhao Xiaoya finished speaking these words, echoes immediately sounded from the side. That's right, Su Chen needs to be self-aware. You are no longer the Su Chen you used to be. You are just a loser who failed to awaken. I advise you to stay away from Xiaoya, and don't think about unrealistic things like hugging someone's thighs and eating soft rice. A handsome man with shiny oily hair and crocodile leather shoes came over. His name was Wang Hao, the monitor of Class 3 and Zhao Xiaoya's suitor. In the past, he had been gnashing his teeth at Su Chen, the idiot who had stolen the heart of his goddess, but there was nothing he could do about it, and now he finally had an outlet. Hee, you have today too. Su Chen has seen our brother Wang and he still hasn't knelt down. Do you know what profession our brother Wang has awakened to? The 2 younger brothers beside Wang Hao also offered timely help. Oh, what profession? Su Chen raised his eyes slightly, and cooperated with their performance without any fluctuation in his eyes. HMPH. The 2 boys expressed a little displeasure at Su Chen's mediocre response. They held their heads high and proudly said loudly, not only to Su Chen, but also to the classmates around them. You have to listen carefully. It's a mecha master. Our brother Wang's awakened profession is a level mecha master. Wow, there was a commotion in the crowd. It's actually a mecha master. Mecha division, as the name suggests, is a high-tech combat profession that drives mechas and can drive Gundam. It is a relatively special category among all professions. Because whether it is a mage, priest or warrior, the strength of basically all professions is related to their own level. But the mecha master is different. A large part of a mecha master's strength depends on how powerful he is at driving the mecha. If the mecha is strong, the mecha master will be strong. If the mecha is weak, the mecha master will be weak. Of course, there are exceptions like the Orange Demon. This means that even if you are a newly awakened mecha master and you are still a first-level mecha master, if you can ride on a divine-level mecha, you will immediately have the power to destroy the world. A few years ago, there was a goddess named Yi Qingli in the imperial capital who awakened to the profession of SS-level mecha master. During the college entrance examination training, she heard that there was an invasion of foreigners and wanted to exterminate their new generation seeds in Kyushu at once. For this purpose, many transcendent-level experts with health values in the tens of thousands were dispatched. You must know that the standard for candidates to take the college entrance examination is only 10 points of vitality, and candidates with 10 points of vitality can be said to have no resistance at all in front of transcendent-level experts with tens of thousands of vitality. It will be a massacre. Yes, those transcendent-level experts with health points reaching tens of thousands were brutally killed by Yi Qingli driving the female martial god. After the plasma orbital cannon blasted them, their corpses were completely gone. Unsurprisingly, Yi Qingli became famous in one battle and became the top scorer in the college entrance examination. Now she is a senior at Imperial University. She has long since become the national goddess of countless people and the dream lover of countless mecha masters. Wang Hao is naturally no exception. He may not be able to fly high-level mechas yet, but he can still fly some training machines. And even if it is just the lowest orange training machine, its combat power is at least comparable to that of a rank 1 martial artist with a health value of 10.0. Among their peers whose health value averages 1.0 or 2.0, it is already considered outstanding. Sure enough, after hearing that Wang Hao had awakened as a mecha master, many students from the surrounding area came over to praise him and get close to him. Wang Hao also held his arms with an expression of enjoyment on his face. But when his eyes touched Su Chen, he found that Su Chen's face was still dull. Mecha, it should feel good when you tear it apart. There was no way. Dismantling Gundam with bare hands was every man's hobby, and Su Chen was no exception. After learning that Wang Hao was awakened as a mecha master, he couldn't help but have such an idea in his mind. Wang Hao. For some reason, when he met Su Chen's eager eyes, Wang Hao suddenly felt a little panicked. He felt as if the mecha he had spent a lot of money to buy was not enough and he had to buy a few more spare ones. What's the meaning? Shaking his head, Wang Hao threw away this unrealistic idea. He looked into Su Chen's eyes and said confidently again. If you want to take the college entrance examination, you need to have a chi and blood level of 10.0. I know that with your current chi and blood level of over 9 points, you will definitely not be willing to give up. Well, Su Chen, for the sake of us all being classmates, as long as you lower your head and call me Brother Wang, Wang Hao, don't mind letting you hold me in my lap, and I will take you to level up together, and I will try my best to help you. How about raising the blood level to 10.0 before the college entrance examination? Before Su Chen could answer, Zhao Xiaoya on the side muttered unhappily. Wang Hao, I don't want to see him again. This sentence made Wang Hao's eyes light up instantly. He had previously invited Zhao Xiaoya to form a team to clear the dungeon, but Zhao Xiaoya did not agree, but now he said such a sentence. Then the meaning is, Zhao Xiaoya, you agreed to team up with me. Wang Hao's voice was a little excited. Zhao Xiaoya nodded. As a woman who is inspired to marry into a wealthy family, since Su Chen has become a waste who failed to awaken, she naturally has to stop her losses in time. Wang Hao has a good family background and a decent career as an A-level mecha master, so she will raise a child for the time being. The spare tire is also very good. Okay. The goddess was finally willing to team up with him, and Wang Hao suddenly laughed happily. In this case, Su Chen, you. Zhao Xiaoya, what are you talking about? An angry voice came from not far away, and Bai Ruizu, who was tall, graceful and with beautiful long pink hair, walked over. It's the goddess Ruizu. There were whispers all around. They are all the four major campus beauties, but they are also superior and inferior. Bai Ruizu has a gentler and sweeter personality, and her pure and lustful appearance is more popular in school than Zhao Xiaoya. Not to mention that goddess Bai Ruizu has awakened the S-level high priest of light profession. Not only can she breastfeed, but she can also fight. She has the abilities of both nanny and light elementalist at the same time. She is one of the only few in our generation. One of the S-level professions. In comparison, Zhao Xiaoya's A-level priest profession is good, but apart from being a wet nurse, she has no other means of attack. And even if she is just a wet nurse, in terms of milk production, Zhao Xiaoya is probably far behind. Boom. Bai Ruizu stood next to Su Chen, holding out her fruitful breasts. Her beautiful, pure and lustful face was full of anger. After seeing this, Zhao Xiaoya looked down at her toes with inferiority and did not dare to look at her. Ha! Bai Ruizu snorted lightly, then put away her angry face, and encouraged the beauty with some worry. Brother Su Chen, don't worry, I will help you brush the dungeon. I believe Brother Su Chen, you will be able to do it. Bai Ruizu's caring words made Sun Chang, who was not far away, feel a tightness in his chest. He didn't expect that even though Su Chen failed to awaken, his goddess would still care about Su Chen so much. Fortunately, he had just seen Bai Ruizu rushing toward Wang Suchen in anger, and he thought he was going to break up with Su Chen like Zhao Xiaoya, and he would have a chance like Wang Hao. Unexpectedly, he stood up for Su Chen. He has failed to awaken. How can he still make the two beauties of our school jealous? Some students nearby couldn't help but grit their teeth when they saw Bai Ruizu, who had always had a gentle temperament, actually confronting Zhao Xiaoya over Su Chen. Okay, Brother Chen, even without awakening SS, the S-level supreme profession can still make the two school beauties jealous. Good gay friend Zhao Gang also stood up and secretly gave Su Chen a thumbs up. He winked and made Su Chen speechless. When he was about to step forward and say something, a cold voice came from not far away. Come. Su Chen forms a team with me. I can help you reawaken your talent career. People turned around and saw Lang Ruyu, one of the four major campus beauties of Baiyun City, walking over with a pair of slender jade-like legs. Although her expression was still cold and goddess-like, the words she spoke broke the hearts of all the male classmates around her. Oh shit. Did Su Chen fail to awaken? How can a loser who failed in career awakening still have the turn of the three major school beauties to compete for him? Believe it or not, in the first mock test 10 days later, my shield hero, Sun Chang, will be the first to defeat him. Talent Awakening Potion. It can help those who fail to awaken talent. If they try to awaken talent again, there is a certain probability that it can help the user to awaken successfully. It is an extremely precious medicine. The average market price is 10 million apiece. How about Su Chen? You join my team, and depending on whether your performance satisfies me in the future, I can give you a talent awakening potion to help you awaken your career again. Lang Ruyu stood in front of Su Chen, her tone was clear, and there was not much expression on her cold face when she spoke. In fact, she and Su Chen were not familiar with each other. They had not exchanged a few words for 3 years, and naturally they had no grudges. The only intersection was probably that Su Chen often got the upper hand during exams. As the second oldest child in 10,000 years, she inevitably regarded Su Chen as the goal she wanted to surpass. And today she did it. My professional talent as an SS-level Hanyu walker is well deserved to be number 1 in the school. But she was not as happy as she had imagined. The man she regarded as her target had failed to awaken and had not awakened in any profession. This made Lang Ruyu feel like a punch on cotton. Not only did she not have the sense of achievement of being first, but because Su Chen failed to awaken, she felt a little depressed and had a complicated expression. She felt it shouldn't be like this. People like Su Chen shouldn't end up like this, so she was willing to give Su Chen a chance. Of course, the awakening potion is not so easy to get. Commoner disciples can choose to attach themselves to disciples from big families, so that they won't have to worry about future training resources, but it is equivalent to signing a contract of betrayal. If Su Chen accepts it, it means that he has accepted her investment. In the future, he can only act like a cow and watch people's faces. If necessary, he will block the gun for her and die. This is an unspoken rule in this world. All major family forces will more or less use this method to cultivate some loyal followers for the family's children. Lang Ruyu was optimistic about Su Chen, so she gave Su Chen such a chance. Although once she agrees, she can only be a follower and will be branded, but Lang Ruyu, as the daughter of the city lord, has a top SS level talent, is extremely beautiful, and has a good figure. Anyone who wants to be her follower, I don't know how many there were, but a group of male classmates around them became jealous when they saw that Su Chen had such an opportunity. Awakening Potion. Goddess Lang Ruyu is actually willing to take out the awakening potion to give Su Chen a chance to awaken again. It's really outrageous. Isn't this Su Chen handsome, with good grades, strong strength, knowledgeable and elegant? What other charms does he have that can actually make 3 of the 4 beauties of Baiyun Middle School jealous? I am speechless. He is still hesitant. If Goddess Lang Ruyu gives me a chance to be a follower, I will kneel down and lick her right away. Maybe I can have a sweet master-servant plot again in the future. This guy Su Chen actually still hesitant. Beast, such a great opportunity, you don't want me to want it. The noisy noises around her did not affect Lang Ruyu. She looked at Su Chen's cold and jade-like face, which remained calm, and spoke softly. How about it, have you thought it through? Su Chen blinked. I also find it interesting. Maybe for ordinary people, if their awakening fails, accepting Lang Ruyu's suggestion is indeed a good way out. But, sorry, please forgive me for refusing. The main focus of my generation of monks is rebellion. What? Rejected? He actually refused. The glasses guy, who wanted to kneel down and lick Su Chen's place, his eyes were so wide that his glasses were broken, and his face was full of shock. Are you sure? Lang Ruyu frowned slightly. For those who failed in career awakening, talent awakening potion is the only life-saving straw that can help them climb out from the bottom. But I didn't expect that Su Chen would refuse such a good opportunity. Thank you for your kindness, but I have other plans. Su Chen nodded calmly, without any reluctance. Perhaps for ordinary people, accepting Lang Ruyu's charity and receiving the awakening potion at this time is a good choice. But that's not necessary for him. First of all, it's not that he hasn't awakened, but that he has awakened, and he is still an SSS level supreme profession, son of destiny, but this profession was sacrificed by him. He who has awakened the professional talent will not use the talent awakening potion again, have any effect. Secondly, he cultivates immortality. As a cultivator who is about to embark on the path to immortality and start cultivation, he is really not interested in these professions. The things you regard as treasures are nothing more than useless to me and can be discarded. In addition, there is another point, that is, as a transmigrator, it is really not in line with his character to be a bully and a horse for others. If he really accepts Lang Ruyu's charity, what will happen if she lets herself charge into battle every day? It's not even possible to kill anyone. So Su Chen rejected Lang Ruyu's funding. Is it a man's boring self-esteem? Lang Ruyu took a deep look at Su Chen. She didn't say anything more, but looked at Su Chen with a bit of disappointment. She thought that the man she had been chasing for 3 years would seize the opportunity to climb out even if he fell into a trough. Unexpectedly, she refused such a great opportunity given to her because of her boring pride. Even if this kind of character is really awakened, the talent career will not go very far. He will no longer be on the road to becoming a strong man in the future. His destiny in life is destined to only look at my back. Thinking of this, Lang Ruyu sighed softly, seeming to let go of the burden in her heart. She gave Su Chen one last relieved look, then turned around, twisted her flexible waist, and stepped out with her beautiful legs, leaving Su Chen with a proud back. She is really a cold goddess. After being rejected by him, the way Lang Ruyu turned around and left without saying a word made Su Chen smile, after saying a few words to Bai Ruizu and Zhao Gang. Su Chen also turned around and walked away under various looks from the crowd that ranged from contempt, ridicule, or worry. It's just that one is facing inward and the other is facing outward. Today, I will unlock the immortal cultivation panel in one go and start my path of cultivation. Looking at today's 2-panel tasks, Su Chen let out a breath with a solemn gaze. Quiet, quiet, as Su Chen turned around and left. The principal appeared on the awakening stage, with regretful eyes looking away from Su Chen's back, and announced with a serious face. Next, I want to talk about the copy of Secret Realm. After Professional Awakening, in order to help students adapt to the professional fighting style better and safer and go through the running-in period, the school will prepare some low-level Secret Realm copies for students. The monsters in these Secret Realm copies are basically ordinary beasts that have not yet entered the advanced level. Their strength is relatively low, which can be used by students to practice their skills without having to go to the wild area to experience life and death. So in the next 10 days, I hope all students will make good use of these copies to master their skills and upgrade to become stronger. Quote, in 10 days, No. 1 middle school will organize a mock test. I hope everyone can get good results in the first mock test. Yeah, finally it's time for real combat. The principal announced the mock exam, which made the students who were awakened to the combat department shout out with excitement. Especially the boys who had been suppressed by Su Chen all year round and had long-standing grievances were staring at Su Chen's departure. Back view, gearing up, laughing endlessly. Those so-called liberal arts and martial arts exams in the past were nothing more than tigers in the mountains and monkeys ruling the roost. What's wrong with that loser Su Chen who came first in the exam every year? Look at this mock exam. If he dares to take one of my son Chang's hands, rub him. Brother Sun, I'm not going to bother you with this kind of thing. Let my B-level professional genius glasses guy come on first. I can't wait to see our genius from No. 1 middle school being trampled under my feet. Ha ha ha, look, he looks like a dog when he leaves, Wang Hao said to Zhao Xiaoya, and the noise around him started again. Quiet, quiet, the principal pressed his hand, and then, under the watchful eyes of all the students, he distributed a type of single-frame glasses that could be worn on the head, with only half lenses and full of technological sense, to every student who had awakened to the combat profession, in hand. Combat Power Tester. As the name suggests, you only need to wear it on your head and turn on the switch to roughly test each person's combat power value. This is used to help students fight monsters and upgrade. Ha ha ha, I got it. I finally got it. Let me see how much combat power you have. After Sun Chang got the combat power tester, he couldn't wait to put it on his head. Combat Power 5. Combat Power 5. Quote. As far as the eye can see, there is a war of 5 scum. This is not a strange thing. After all, they have not started to fight monsters and upgrade. It is normal for the combat power to be a little low. Holy shit, awesome, brother Sun, you actually have 55 points of combat power. The exclamation of the boy next to him made Sun Chang smile proudly. This is not normal. He has awakened the profession of an A-level shield hero. In addition, he has always been in the habit of lifting irons to keep fit. Isn't it normal for him to have a combat power value of 55 points for a sports student? Name, Lang Ruyu. Occupation, SS level, Cold Moon Walker. Blood value, 9.6. Combat power, 96. Suggestion, close your dog eyes, you cannot see the goddess. Closing square bracket. Hiss. There was a gasp from the crowd. Sun Chang did not expect that he had actually tested it just by looking at it casually. Combat power 96. She is indeed the goddess Lang Ruyu of our number 1 middle school. Now she can have 96 points of combat power in the initial stage. Among them, whose average combat power is between 5 and 10 points, she is already outstanding. By the way, where's Su Chen? After seeing Lang Ruyu's 96 combat power, some people inevitably thought of Su Chen. He looked back at Su Chen's leaving figure. I've been so pretentious all day long. I would like to see how high the combat power of our number 1 middle school genius who failed to awaken can be. After Sun Chang shook his head and said something strangely, he pressed the combat power test switch next to his ear. For a moment, the battle panel about Su Chen appeared on the lenses in front of his eyes. Name, Su Chen. Occupation, none. Blood value, 9.8. Combat power, 99. Suggestion, stop reading, you scumbag. Even if you haven't awakened your profession, it's not a problem to hit you 100 times. Closing square bracket. Forehead, 9, 99. Monitor Sun Chang was stunned, and other students around him who detected Su Chen's combat power were also stunned. Dot 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 dot. The awakening ceremony is a big event, not only involving professional awakening, but also the subsequent matter of forming a team to clear the dungeon. Basically all the students in the grade are in the square. The bustling martial Dao classroom in the past seemed a little quiet. But this is fine. In front of the large floor-to-ceiling window, Chen took off his coat and put it in the corner. Looking at the empty martial Dao classroom, he took a deep breath with a calm expression. Such a quiet environment was just right for him to complete his first basic task. 2 hours of fighting practice. The 8th set of combat gymnastics for primary and secondary school students across the country starts now. The first form, Young Eagle. Bang bang bang. A dull sound echoed in the martial Dao classroom, as if someone was doing fighting exercises inside. The dull sound was banging, and the continuous vibrations inside could be heard even in the hall outside. Who is practicing inside? He must be a handsome guy for being so diligent. I want to go in and have a look quickly to gain prestige. Etc. Xiaoya, I heard that you and Chen broke up. In the hall outside the classroom. Zhao Xiaoya, who was about to go in and get some prestige from a handsome guy, was stopped by a middle-aged man wearing black training clothes. Yes, Zhao Xiaoya paused. She was wearing a long turquoise dress. She had a beautiful appearance, a slender figure, and her breasts were like steel plates. Facing her father's question, she raised her beautiful eyebrows slightly, and her beautiful face gained a bit of pride and reality. I am an A-level nanny with a promising career and a bright future. Chen is just a loser who failed to awaken. He is not worthy of me at all. What happened if I broke up with him? Zhao Yu frowned as he looked at the girl in front of him. He knew that his daughter's personality was a bit realistic, but it's still a bit unwise for you to break up with Chen so soon. Chen's martial Dao talent is very good, and his health value has already reached over 9.0. It's just an ordinary civilian family who has not used any high-level training resources, but can reach the rank of rank 1 martial artist with their own efforts and training before awakening the profession. This kind of talent is unrestrained. He can also be called a genius in our ancient martial arts world. The principal should have sent you a combat power tester today. You should have seen Chen's comprehensive combat power. Zhao Yu's words made Zhao Xiaoya pause for a moment, and she remembered the dazzling number 99 in combat power. The combat power value is approaching 100, far exceeding everyone on the field. So what? Zhao Xiaoya gritted her teeth and said bravely. What's wrong with the high blood value? He is just a waste who failed to awaken. He doesn't even have a career. What achievements can he make in the future? His current qi and blood value of 9.8 is indeed very high, but it becomes more difficult to increase the qi and blood value as it goes forward. The college entrance examination will be in 3 months. If he fails to awaken his professional talent, it is not certain whether he can raise his health value to the minimum line of 10.0 in these 3 months. The combat power of 99 points is not 100. A comprehensive combat power evaluation of 100 is the standard for becoming a rank 1 martial artist, which is qualitatively different from a combat power of 99. Simply put, it is the gap between ordinary geniuses and the rare martial Dao genius in 10 years. This, Zhao Xiaoya's retort made Zhao Yu choke, and he paused before speaking. But Chen's martial Dao talent is very high. Although it can't be said to be rare in 10 years, it may not be possible to increase the health value by 0.2 points to 10.0 and the combat power to 100 in 3 months. Zhao Xiaoya sneered indifferently. Even if it takes 3 months, what will happen if his vitality reaches the standard of 10.0? He didn't awaken to any profession. Do you expect him to follow the path of pure martial arts like you? Even if he can follow the path of pure martial arts, so what? Father, you have told me a long time ago that our Zhao family is an ancient martial arts family. You have been practicing martial Dao since you were a child, but what is the result? You have followed the path of pure martial arts since you were a child. After practicing for most of your life, you are only a rank 2 martial master. You can only hide in school and be a martial arts teacher. Zhao Xiaoya sounded disdainful. In this world, those who have failed in career awakening, or who have awakened to the idea that life is career, do not have other options. Ancient martial arts, also called pure martial arts, is a path, and it is a path that has been passed down before the Age of Awakening. The standard of qi and blood value was originally used to measure pure martial arts. But the martial Dao journey requires a lot of resources, not to mention talent. If you want to become a strong martial Dao person, you need to inherit understanding, guidance from experts, understanding of artistic conception, and practice skills. None of them are indispensable, which is time-consuming and labor-intensive. It is also easy to get stuck by bottlenecks, making it difficult to make further breakthroughs throughout your life. Professional awakeners are different. They have the ability to defeat monsters and level up just like playing a game, and have the ability to break through and become stronger easily and quickly. Martial Dao has been practicing for decades and has been surpassed by professional awakeners in just a few dozen days. This is because. Hearing his daughter use himself as an example, Zhao Yu opened his mouth and wanted to say that he was a martial Dao talent and that's why he acted like this. But after thinking about it, what his daughter said was also true of martial Dao talent. So what if Dao talent is high? The strongest pure martial artist is only in the Great Grandmaster realm, and is only comparable to a rank 4 professional. They have long been eliminated by this era. Just like in the firearms era, you still use cold weapons. The adult era has changed. The glory of pure martial arts has long been reduced to the past tense. No matter how good Su Chen's martial Dao talent is, in his opinion, his future achievements in this area will at most be the same as him, just a rank 2 martial master. Well, Zhao Yu sighed. Forget it, Zhao Xiaoya, you are right. You have the profession of an A-level priest, and you will indeed have better choices in the future. Su Chen is not worthy of you. Humph. Zhao Xiaoya laughed proudly, as if she was very happy to hear the words from Zhao Yu that Su Chen was not worthy of her. The girl's face had a brighter look, as if she had won the battle. He waved his hands happily and said, "Okay, don't talk about this. Zhao Yu, prepare 3 kilograms of papaya for me quickly. I will form a team to enter the dungeon later. Just watch. Soon my combat power will reach 99, even surpassing Su Chen and reaching 100 ahead of time to enter rank 1. Field." Bang! When Zhao Xiaoya was about to eat more papaya to temporarily supplement her milk supply, there was a sudden loud noise in the classroom next to me, attracting the two's attention. What's the noise? Without hesitation, Zhao Yu subconsciously opened the door and rushed inside to check. Bang bang bang. In the empty martial Dao classroom, the sound of explosions echoed in the air. A handsome young man was conducting aerial attack training. He could make sharp air-piercing sounds with every punch and kick. He was full of power. The punching power has at least reached the tonnage level and should not be underestimated. The golden sunlight shines through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the young man's focused face. The muscles all over his body were sore and stiff from long periods of concentrated exercise, but his movements were rigorous and standard, and his eyes were staring ahead, faintly spiritual. Sweat was flying in the air. Until a certain moment. Punch out. Ding. Today's goal is to complete the 2-hour combat training task. Closing square bracket. Vitality value increases by 0.1. Closing square bracket. Buzz. Su Chen, who was sitting and practicing fighting, suddenly felt a stream of heat gushing out from the depths of his dantian. The energy and blood in his body instantly strengthened, filling his internal organs and flowing rapidly along the blood vessels to his arms. The sense of power made Su Chen couldn't help but punch the sandbag next to him. Burst! Su Chen shouted in a low voice. Powerful force was transmitted along the blood and muscles of the arm, and when it touched the sandbag, it exploded. The hard-to-break sandbag under martial artist was instantly exploded. Rags flew. What happened? It was also at this time that Zhao Yu hurriedly opened the door and barged in, but before he could say a few more words, he was stunned at the door. Staring blankly at this scene in Martial Dao's classroom. Sunlight, floor-to-ceiling windows, sandbags with flying debris, and a handsome young man under the debris, looking up and gasping for breath, with sweat streaming down his face. The boiling energy and blood entangled the young man's body, distorting the air, creating an inexplicable momentum that made Zhao Xiaoya, who also walked to the door, freeze in place, with her beautiful eyes wide open. Zhao Yu's eyes trembled and he said, "Su Chen, have you always been here?" He knew that Su Chen came over around 11 o'clock in the morning, but he had lunch and took a nap, thinking that Su Chen had left long ago. There was a banging inside just now. He thought it was someone else in the classroom, but he didn't expect it was Su Chen. And look at its status. I'm afraid I didn't even have lunch, didn't take a break, and practiced for 2 hours intermittently. Ah, Su Chen nodded, sweat dripping from his chin. Although he was very tired and the lactic acid accumulated in his body was painful and slightly cramped, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly and there was joy in his eyes. The blood value is 9.9. Next, you only need to sprint 100 laps in the playground to reach 10.0 and unlock the immortal cultivation panel. Zhao Yu's eyes were a little complicated. He looked at Su Chen and then at the blown sandbags on the ground. Although he already had the answer in his heart, he still couldn't help asking. Did you blow this up? Well, I'm sorry, Teacher Li, I couldn't control my strength just now. I will compensate you. Su Chen nodded and admitted. Although he came from an ordinary family, his parents still left him a house and several million in inheritance before they left. Although he had spent a lot over the years, he still had enough money to compensate for a sandbag. So Su Chen did not waste time. After stretching a little, he walked to the window, picked up his clothes, and glanced at the face of Zhao Xiaoya, who was still a little dazed at the door. He passed by the two of them and headed towards the playground. Go. After Su Chen's back disappeared from the martial Dao classroom, Zhao Yu then walked into the classroom, picked up a piece of debris on the ground, and said with an increasingly complicated expression. Look, let me just say that Su Chen's martial Dao talent is very high. HMPH. Realizing that she had just lost sight of Su Chen and wanted to increase Su Chen's prestige, Zhao Xiaoya's face turned red, she snorted in embarrassment and said rebelliously. This is not a high talent. Isn't it just that talent failed to awaken, and because of his own pride he refused to accept charity from others, so he came here to beat up sandbags, and was incompetent and furious. Incompetent and furious. Zhao Yu chewed on these words. He raised his head and looked at his daughter with a complicated look on his face. But Xiaoya, do you know? The sandbags in our classrooms are custom made. Without the strength of rank 1 martial artist and 100 points of combat power, it is impossible to defeat him. What? Zhao Xiaoya was completely stunned by Zhao Yu's words. She looked at the exploded sandbags in the classroom with her beautiful eyes in a daze. It is different from the bright sunshine at noon. After the time reached the afternoon, clouds gradually gathered in the sky, and the earth became slightly dark. The breeze blows and is slightly cool. Pieces of green leaves fell to the ground in the cool breeze. However, the cool breeze could not extinguish the hot and restless hearts of the students in the square. I'm finally entering the secret realm instance. In front of the students, there are 10 vortex-shaped secret realm entrances. Secret realm contains mostly wild mobs that have not yet entered the level. Combat power is usually below 100. The purpose is to help students better adapt to the novice stage and become familiar with occupational skills. Usually, judging from previous events, it doesn't take too long. Just one afternoon today was enough to double our strength and grow rapidly. It won't take more than 10 days to increase the health value to 10.0 and the combat power to over 100. A man with glasses in the crowd pushed up his eyes. Hey, I'm going to upgrade like crazy next. 10 days. Just give me 10 days, and I can increase my HP to 10.0, combat power to 100, and reach the standard of rank 1 martial artist. Wearing a green cloak behind him, Sun Chang, the squad leader who had awakened an A-level shield hero, laughed confidently, and did not forget to add a few words at the end. It's a pity that some of us seem to have high health and strong strength, but unfortunately we don't have awakened professions, so we can't even fight monsters and upgrade. Maybe my health value will not exceed 10.0 for the rest of my life, and I won't be able to become a true rank 1 martial artist. There's no way this is life. This is the biggest difference between those who succeed in career awakening and those who fail. Those who succeed in awakening will have professional characteristics. They only need to constantly fight monsters to obtain invisible energy factors and gain experience upgrades. Those who have not successfully awakened their profession will not receive this kind of treatment. In the future, we will only get stronger and stronger, and the gap will get wider and wider. Maybe it won't take that long. We just need to be able to crush Su Chen this time when we come out, right Xiaoya? Wang Hao, who had oily hair and wore crocodile leather shoes, exchanged playful words with the boys next to him, then turned to ask Zhao Xiaoya. However, he found that Zhao Xiaoya's beautiful eyes were a little absent-minded, as if she was still thinking about something. This made Wang Hao frown slightly and said with concern, "Xiaoya, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere?" "No. It's okay." Zhao Xiaoya came back to her senses and shook her head. She looked at the 10 copies of Secret Realm in front of her and snorted in her heart. So what if Su Chen has the strength of rank 1 martial artist now? What if he is a martial arts prodigy that is rare in 10 years? He can't upgrade through dungeons. He will soon be surpassed by us and fall far behind. It doesn't take long. After 10 days, we will see the results of the first mock test. I said nothing wrong. Su Chen is just not worthy of me. After Zhao Xiaoya strengthened her belief, she raised her chin slightly and regained her slightly proud look before. Soon, the students who had formed teams entered the dungeon one by one under the command of the teacher. And at the same time, Wen Sun Chang, Wang Hao and others entered the Secret Realm copy to level up. In a relatively sunken part of the school, on the deserted playground. The clouds were even worse. Under the high pressure, the earth was dim and yellow, as if it might rain heavily at any time. The damp cold wind blew across the plastic track on the playground. Cultivation panel not fully unlocked, unlocking progress 99%. Name, Su Chen. Cultivation level, not yet advanced. After the health value reaches 10.0 and enters the level, the immortal cultivation panel can be fully unlocked, and a set of immortal cultivation techniques for novices will be rewarded during the introduction. Technique. Immortal Grade Heaven Swallowing Demon Technique will be distributed together with the Novice Foundation Building Immortal Law after the cultivation panel is fully unlocked. Current Chi and Blood Value. 9.9, 1.0 for ordinary people. Today's suggestion. 1. Directly sacrifice the talent profession completed. 2. Go to the martial Dao classroom and practice fighting skills seriously for 2 hours to gain 0.1 health value completed. 3. Go to the running playground and sprint 100 laps as fast as possible to get a health value plus 0.1 unfinished. Su Chen tightened his shoelaces. While standing up, he took a deep breath and suppressed all the pain of muscle soreness and stiffness caused by the previous fighting practice. His eyes suddenly focused on the front, and his body sprinted out in an instant. Today's goal 3 is to start sprinting 100 laps on the playground. ... Why is he running? At some point, it started to drizzle from the sky. 3 shadows appeared on the edge of the playground. One of them, a fat man with a waist as thick as a water tank and a camera on his shoulder, asked questions. Young genius, suddenly fell. In the past, he was called Su Shen by his classmates. He ranked first in liberal arts and martial arts exams every year, and he was good at both civil and martial arts. But now I failed in the most critical exam. I failed to awaken the high-level combat profession. I didn't even awaken to the ordinary life profession. I was a complete failure. I was abandoned by this era and was abandoned by everyone. The classmates laughed. There is such a huge gap between before and after, so naturally we need to vent. Quote. A sweet-looking woman wearing a transparent raincoat walked out from behind the 2 cameramen. The 3 of them are reporters from Baiyun TV. In the morning, they heard that Su Chen, the most popular god of study in No. 1 middle school, was unexpectedly unpopular. Not only the combat profession, but also the life profession was not awakened. After the direct awakening failed, the news reporter their keen sense of chasing hot topics made them rush to the interview immediately. And this woman is the famous beauty reporter of Baiyun TV station, Xiao Li. At this moment, Xiao Li looked down at the boy running on the playground, with a trace of pity flashing in her eyes. She still remembered that last year, Su Chen was the best in both civil and martial arts, and he was ranked first in the school and the city many times. She was also the one she interviewed when he was awarded the title of Su Shen by his peers. At that time, the young man faced the camera calmly, with a bright face, as if being first in the exam was not important to him. But now, he failed to awaken the haze above his head, and could only vent his unwillingness and anger by running wildly in the rain. What a trick of fate. Xiao Li looked down at the boy running on the playground, a trace of pity flashing in her eyes. But at the same time, She also understood that as long as she reported this matter, it would attract countless hotspots and attention, making it a major event that cannot be missed. So, reaching out to catch the drizzle falling in the air, Xiaoli Zunren glanced at the sky and turned to ask the two cameramen behind her. Are you ready? It might rain heavily later. The two cameras need to follow him while panning and running, while reporting live. Don't worry, Xiaoli, don't forget what our nicknames are. One is fat and the other is thin, the two cameramen showed full confidence. One of these two cameramen is as fat as a millstone, and the other is as thin as a hemp pole. They are the famous fat and thin tutu combination of Baiyun TV station. Among them, the fat man is called the flexible fat man and has the strength of rank 1 martial artist. Although his speed may not reach the standard due to his size, he can definitely be called the fastest fat man under rank 1. One of the most well-known deeds is that during the World Sprint Championship, it was he who carried a camera and ran in front of the champion to report to everyone. Not only did he maintain a certain distance throughout the process, but the camera was stable and without jitters. Careful netizens noticed after they discovered it. They were given many titles such as the strongest cameraman and the uncrowned king of the world sprint champion. Therefore, from Fatty's point of view, it is not a problem at all to follow Su Chen while running and live broadcasting. After all, the opponent is just a student who has not yet entered rank 1. How fast can he run? How long can he run? Could it be that he can still run 100 laps? So let's talk about it. Good. Then let's start preparing for the live broadcast. Seeing Fatty's confidence, Bingbing nodded in belief. Then, hello, viewers, this is Baiyun TV station. I'm Xiaoli. Coming. The live broadcast is finally on. Wife Xiaoli, I love you. Honey, why are you broadcasting outdoors today? It's raining outside and don't freeze. As a famous beauty reporter, Xiaoli still has many fans on the internet. As soon as the live broadcast started, many people went crazy and commented. However, as a professional, Xiaoli was not affected and just looked at the camera and continued. Perhaps everyone who is well informed already knows about this matter. Just this morning, at the most important career awakening ceremony in Baiyun No. 1 Middle School, Su Chen, the genius boy known as Su Shen, who ranked first in the grade in both civil and martial arts, unexpectedly failed in his awakening. There is no professional awakening in either the combat or life department. Wow! After hearing the incident reported by Xiaoli, the barrage of greetings and inquiries in the live broadcast room immediately started a serious discussion. Su Chen, I know. He seems to be the top student in No. 1 Middle School, always ranked first in his grade. I thought he would at least awaken an S-level combat profession, but he failed to awaken. Oh, in the past, I was given high hopes by my classmates and teachers, but ended up failing in the most critical test. This kind of failure is no less than the top student in the past year who failed to perform well in the college entrance examination. He should be very sad now. Be miserable. Quote. The barrage of serious discussions in the live broadcast room made Xiaoli nodded with her lips slightly raised. I know everyone is concerned about this. So let's interview the person involved next to see what he thinks. I saw the screen change. The camera came to Su Chen. He ran on the playground, sweat mixed with rain sliding down his face, breathing heavily. Hello, classmate Su Chen, we are reporters from Baiyun TV. We have a few questions to ask you now. Is it convenient for you now? A microphone suddenly reached Su Chen's mouth. At this time, Xiaoli was also running beside him, holding up the microphone to ask Su Chen. Not too convenient. Then can you just run and answer a few questions from me? I won't delay you too much. Su Chen's eyes looked strangely at the fat cameraman who was running with him and Xiaoli who was holding the microphone. The word, dedication, inevitably arose in my heart for them, and thinking that it was not easy for everyone, I relaxed and nodded in agreement. All right, as long as it doesn't stop me from running. While Xiaoli and Su Chen were negotiating, many people poured into the live broadcast room one after another, and some attentive netizens suddenly discovered it before the interview started. Brothers, I suddenly realized that I was running a live broadcast like this. Is there a big brother running with a camera next to me? Awesome, you're a genius academic from Baiyun No. 1 Middle School. You're rubbish. No wonder he failed in his career awakening. Our camera brother can run faster than him even with a camera on his shoulder. Sure enough, the camera brother is the strongest. That's right, don't look at who our eldest brother is carrying the camera. This is the famous Fat Tutuo from our Baiyun TV station. In the live broadcast room, a person working at the TV station proudly introduced Fat Tutuo's glorious deeds, which caused the impeachment. The curtain is full of bullfrogs. The fat man who was following Chen with a camera also gave a thumbs up in front of the camera, meaning, a small scene, low-key, just running with a school student carrying a camera, and he can still run with Fat Tutuo. Not on. What are you doing now? The interview officially begins. Running. Then how many laps have you run now? Cannot remember. Why did you choose to run on a rainy day? Is it to vent your sadness because of the failed awakening? No, the haze in the sky became darker and heavier, and the rain fell heavier and heavier. The scenes of Xiaoli and Chen's questions and answers were clearly shown in the live broadcast room. Obviously I don't even remember how many laps I ran, but I'm still insisting that it's not because I'm sad. Oh my god. Have you seen how he pretends to be calm in front of the camera? He looks like he's going to pieces. I have seen through his calm face that he is pretending to be strong but hiding his broken heart. Is it rain, sweat or tears that are flowing down his cheeks? Hey, let my aunt hug me. Many rich women in the live broadcast room who were greedy for Chen's male beauty couldn't help but scream after seeing it. Of course, there are two sides to the matter. Some people want to hug Chen, and some people want to step on Chen. For example, a very conspicuous green barrage sang a song among a group of white barrages. The cold icy rain patted my face randomly, only in the Pheasant's Secret Realm copy. On a hill, Sun Chang, who was holding a shield in his hand and wearing a green cloak behind him, saw that Chen in the live broadcast room had failed to awaken and, in competent fury, chose to run in the heavy rain to vent his emotions, so he couldn't help but send a taunting barrage. It's all pretending. Don't look at what he says about not caring. In fact, he just likes to show off. If he doesn't care, why are he running on a rainy day? After mocking Chen, Sun Chang glanced at a group of pheasants on the hillside that were killed by his team, and he did not forget to add something proudly in the live broadcast room. Fighting is fun. I have reached level 3 now, and my health value has directly increased to 3.0. Maybe it will take less than 2 days to increase to 10.0, and I will become a rank 1 awakener who surpasses the number 1 genius in a certain grade, ha ha ha. Sun Chang's show-off immediately triggered a barrage of compliments such as, holy shit, bullshit, big brother, please hug me, which really impressed him. Of course, in addition to Chen and his class monitor, Wang Hao, the monitor of Class 3, was also not to be outdone. In the Wild Boar Forest copy, seeing that someone could rise to level 3 in such a short period of time, as a dignified mecha master, Wang Hao, who was piloting a mecha, glanced at the wild boar carcass that was cut in half with his sword and couldn't help but open the mecha. The hatch jumped down. He took a selfie of himself, the mecha and the wild boar carcass, and when he posted it to the live broadcast room, he didn't forget to add the words of Versailles. Oh, I killed another wild boar today, so I can treat everyone to some pork. I'm just worried that some people may not be in the mood right now, haha. This is a mecha. I didn't expect that there is a big shot in the live broadcast room who can fly a Gundam. I am so envious. I kneel down and beg for a hug. Unsurprisingly, there was another group of, please hug a thigh, barrages in the live broadcast room, which also made Wang Hao happy. No, the corners of his mouth turned up. Zhao Xiaoya, who was standing not far from Wang Hao, laughed proudly when she saw Chen's embarrassed appearance running in the heavy rain in the live broadcast room. Ah, he quickly posted a barrage in the live broadcast room. I am Chen's ex-girlfriend. I can prove that he is all pretending. He says he is not sad, but in fact he is crying for no reason. He is just talking sarcastically, pretending to be tough and not daring to face the reality of failure. Such a person can be brilliant for a while at most, but he is destined not to go far in the future. Fortunately, I was not touched by him when we were talking about friends, and we still had our first kiss. Quote. Zhao Xiaoya's remarks are just one of the criticisms of Chen. The most important thing is to publicly reveal a message to the public, that is, she is still a pure as ice and jade girl. After all, she will marry into a wealthy family in the future. I don't want everyone to misunderstand anything. As expected, these remarks aroused a lot of discussions in the live broadcast room, and the most popular one was whether Chen was physically weak, a strong man but a strong man, he had never had such a good girlfriend, and so on, which caused the barrage in the live broadcast room to go a little off. Ahem. On the playground, Xiaoli, who did not continue to follow Chen, stood in front of Shou Tutuo's camera and coughed lightly. Everyone, please stop making random guesses. If you want to know anything, I can ask you. The rain is getting heavier. Looking at the fat man running behind Chen in the rain, Xiaoli hurriedly greeted him, just as she was about to ask a question about whether he was worthy or not in front of the live broadcast room. But he found that the fat man chasing Chen not far away with a camera was gradually pulled away. His fat body was trembling, but he couldn't get closer to Chen. Instead, he was getting further and further away, and the camera could hardly keep up. Fat man, what's wrong with you? Xiaoli frowned and asked anxiously. No, I can't catch up. The fat man waved his hand, took a breath, and put down the camera. What's wrong, fatty? Didn't you say that you are the uncrowned world sprint champion and the fastest fatty under rank 1? Why did you lose strength so quickly? You can't even catch up with a student. The thin man came over, and there was also a barrage of hip-hop ridicule in the live broadcast room. Don't worry about whether Chen is weak or not, I think this fat guy is quite weak. Single quote. I just said that the small scene was low-key, but now you can hardly even see the backs of people. Single quote. Faced with the doubts of his colleagues and the ridicule of the barrage in the live broadcast room, the corner of Fatty's mouth twitched, and he wanted to ask a question in return. Can't even catch up with an ordinary student. Have you ever seen an ordinary student running 10 laps around the playground? Instead of slowing down, he is getting faster and faster. The fat man looked at Chen's back gradually disappearing in the rain, feeling so tortured that he wanted to doubt his life. Are all students today so awesome? A boy in the rain is running on the playground. Closing square bracket. Is this anger against an unfair fate, or a cry unwilling to accept life? Closing square bracket. Xiaoli, who couldn't continue the live broadcast, could only ask Shuzi to take a back photo and gave Chen such a title. Ruyu, it's time to go. You have awakened the S-level High Priest of Light profession. After joining our Light God religion, you may be able to compete for the position of Saintess in the Light God religion in the future. Leveling up in the low-level dungeon provided by the school will be beneficial to you. It's a complete waste of time, just follow me outside the city. On the left side of the playground, 2 figures stood. One of them has a beautiful figure, with a pink and white skirt rippling gently. She has a soft face, fair and delicate skin, graceful, and her rosy lips reveal sweet light. She feels as sweet as the little sister next door. The other person has a stooped figure, wrinkled skin, and silver hair. She looks no different from an ordinary old woman. What was strange was that there was heavy rain pouring all around, but not a single drop fell on her or the girl next to her. It was as if there was an invisible barrier separating the rain from the two of them. The girl is naturally Bai Ruizu, while the old woman Lu Yun is the protector of the Guangming sect's branch in Beiyun City. After learning that Bai Ruizu had awakened the S-level High Priest of Light profession, he immediately invited Bai Ruizu to join the Guangming cult. Ruizu, let's go quickly. Time is running out, your light guards are ready, let's fight for today. Lu Yun also wanted to urge Bai Ruizu to go to the wild to upgrade, but who would have thought that Bai Ruizu said Chen while watching the live broadcast on her mobile phone. Shu's barrage suddenly interrupted Lu Yun's words and said angrily. Not going, not going. Lu Yun's expression was a bit astonished. He didn't seem to expect that Bai Ruizu would answer like this, and he didn't seem to expect that Bai Ruizu, who had a gentle personality, would look so angry. Is it because of him? Lu Yun glanced down at Chen running in the playground. With the power of her light cult. Naturally, they immediately investigated the relationship between Chen and Bai Ruizu. The two had a close relationship. They had always been classmates in Beiyun Middle School. In the past, Chen was number 1 in both civil and military arts and was called Shen. Bai Ruizu was also known as Chen. It's a young girl who loves spring, how could she not feel admiration for her? But now he is no longer worthy of you. Of course Lu Yun did not say this outright, but just said it silently in his heart. Although Su Chen had many brilliance in the past, his career awakening is destined to last a lifetime. He is a dragon, he is a dragon, he is an insect, there are no exceptions. Even if Su Chen has some talent in practicing pure martial arts, he is just an ordinary martial apprentice now, not even a rank 1 martial artist. What is her identity as the future high priest of light of the light religion? In the future, the identity gap between the two will only become wider and wider until they are not from the same world at all. Liu Yun didn't say these words directly because there was no need. 10 days later, it will be the first mock test before the college entrance examination of Baiyun number 1 middle school. Su Chen, who does not even have the ability to be a martial artist, will only be severely stepped on if he dares to take the stage. At that time, she believed that the perfect image that Su Chen had imprinted on Bai Ruizu's heart would also be broken. The outcome has already been decided, so there is no need for her to mock Su Chen in front of Bai Ruizu and say bad things like the brainless villain in the novel, which made Bai Ruizu disgusted. So after seeing Bai Ruizu say not to go, Liu Yun didn't say anything, just turned around and walked out with Bai Ruizu. How long was he running? At the same time, on the right side of the playground, the rain pattered on the dark umbrella, and the umbrella leaves trembled, and the drops of rain were shaken away. Go back to Miss. I've been running around all afternoon. The old butler in a tuxedo with a white mustache held an umbrella and gave Lang Ruyu a slight salute. One afternoon, Lang Ruyu murmured softly. Her cold and arrogant eyes looked at Su Chen below with no expression on her face, and she just continued to ask calmly. Old housekeeper, how are you doing with the things I asked you to prepare? The awakening potion has been successfully ordered and will arrive soon. The old housekeeper first replied in a standard manner, then frowned slightly, asked what was on his mind with doubtful eyes, and even said with some worry. Miss, why are you paying so much attention to him? Although he had many achievements in the past, his career awakening has failed now. His past is like a cloud and has no meaning. He is not even the lowest level martial artist now. Even if he is given an awakening potion to help him awaken successfully, he will not be qualified to stand side by side with the lady in the future. There won't even be a chance to see your back, miss. Quote. Miss, you are a talented SS level Hanyu walker. The city lord has high hopes for you. You can't do it because of some personal relationship between your children. Yeah, Lang Ruyu glared at the old housekeeper, but she didn't mean to be embarrassed. She just said flatly, you're overthinking, then she turned around and walked away with her slender legs. She was willing to help Su Chen because she did have some personal feelings of her own. But it's not like anything. I just felt that Su Chen's back looked very similar to the little boy who saved her 10 years ago. That's all. It's okay if it's not. The old housekeeper nodded, then followed Lang Ruyu holding an umbrella. As he walked, he glanced at Su Chen, who was gradually slowing down on the playground below, and thought to himself. Miss, your future will be like a phoenix flying through the 9 heavens, but he can only struggle like an earthworm in the quagmire. The future is destined to be looked up to. It is already the greatest honor in his life to receive this gift from you. Ding. Completed 100 laps of the playground sprint. Closing square bracket. The blood value increases by 0.1. Closing square bracket. As the cultivation panel gave a reminder, Su Chen, who was running on the playground, suddenly felt his body expand from the inside out. This expansion was not like the soreness of lactic acid accumulation, but rather a very comfortable feeling, coming out from Dantian, surging qi and blood all over the body. It was as if a bottle that had already been filled with water was suddenly filled with a hot spring out of thin air. The entire bottle suddenly shattered. This moment, Su Chen completely broke the bottleneck and broke through to the realm of martial artist. Plop, under the surge of qi and blood. His heart beat suddenly, like a muffled bell in the morning, and a surge of energy filled his body. Liu Yun, who was following Bai Ruizu, and the old housekeeper, who was following Lang Ruyu, seemed to notice something at the same time. They left suddenly, and looked at them with somewhat surprised expressions. Breakthrough. Really stepped into the realm of martial artist. In the heavy rain, Su Chen gradually stopped, breathing heavily. After sprinting for 100 laps, his body, which had reached its limit, seemed to have gained endless strength again under this surge of energy and blood, so that although he was sweating profusely and his muscles were sore, his eyes were full of energy and he did not feel tired at all. This is the martial artist realm. Chen clenched his fist, and the tight strength seemed to be integrated. One punch could definitely kill a cow. This is a completely different feeling from before entering the level. It is as if the last part has been installed on a precision machine. As long as it is turned on, it can immediately enter a high-speed running state. If it does not move, it will be complete, and if it moves, it will be shocking. At this moment, my combat power is at least twice as strong as before. The basic strength is at least 1 ton, and at least 3 to 5 tons of force when fully exploded. Chen felt the state of his body and raised the corners of his mouth silently. I am not just happy that I have broken through the realm of martial artist. More importantly, when the blood value reaches 10.0, I can finally become an immortal. Chen stared at the immortal cultivation panel with anticipation, waiting for its unsealing and transformation. And the other side, what's wrong? Ruyu turned around and asked. The old housekeeper looked away and shook his head with a normal expression. It's okay, miss, let's go. He just broke through the martial artist realm. To be able to break through the rank 1 martial artist realm on the day of awakening without training at this age really proves that he has some martial Dao talent, which is rare to see in 10 years. Martial arts genius. But, after all, he is just a martial arts practitioner. Lu Yun shook his head. Chen's performance today was indeed a bit beyond her expectations and a bit surprising, but that was all, and it didn't deserve her to have any more emotions. After all, how can a martial arts practitioner be worthy of the future high priest of light of our light religion? Ding! The health value reaches 10.0, which meets the unlocking conditions. Closing square bracket. The cultivation panel begins to unlock. Unlocked successfully. Closing square bracket. Name: Chen. Cultivation: martial artist realm. Skills: perfect body tempering technique, heaven swallowing demon technique. Blood value: 10.0. The rain was pouring down. Chen, who was sore all over his body, was lying on the playground in a big shape. He was breathing heavily, and the hot blood that belonged to the martial artist steamed out. He let the cold rain beat on his body. He looked very embarrassed, but the corners of his mouth were. He grinned involuntarily and couldn't help laughing. Unlocked. Finally, unlocked. The heaven-swallowing demon technique obtained by sacrificing the SSS-level Destiny Child profession talent, and the perfect body tempering technique that comes with the cultivation panel to unlock, the 2 techniques have been received. The door to immortality that he had been looking forward to for so long was finally opened for him. Ha ha ha. Chen, who couldn't wait to push the door open, took a breather and rested and devoted himself to the cultivation panel, exploring the 2 immortal cultivation techniques in detail. Life is a sea of bitterness, and the body is a boat. The perfect body tempering technique starts from the 9 aspects of skin, flesh, blood, tendons, marrow, and brain. It aims to create a supreme cultivation foundation for practitioners. Once the 9 parts and 9 exercises are completed, the human body will be perfect. Become a realm by oneself is a perfect cultivation body. The only drawback is that the cultivation process consumes a lot of money. In comparison, the effect of heaven swallowing demon technique is simpler and more domineering. After reading the entire book, one sentence stands out: use the heaven and earth as nourishment to strengthen one's body. Ferocious beast flesh and blood, elixirs, spiritual herbs, mineral spirit stone. The more you swallow, the stronger you become. The methods are direct and brutal. It complements the perfect body tempering technique. One majors in the foundation of the physical body, but consumes a lot in the process. The other can swallow all things as nourishment, but it is likely that the foundation is unstable and the foundation is not strong because of too fast breakthroughs in the process. The 2 complement each other and they are a perfect match. After roughly understanding the contents of the 2 exercises, Chen got up from the playground and bared his lower teeth. It hurts, it hurts. Although the breakthrough in the martial artist realm made him feel like he had endless strength, it did not relieve the pain and damage to the muscles in his body. The feeling of accumulated lactic acid was very sour and unbearable, but compared to the pain in his body's muscles, he couldn't wait to start practicing these 2 exercises. Nothing can stop me from starting the path of cultivating immortality. Gulu. The protest coming from his stomach made Chen change his statement again. Nothing can stop me from cultivating immortality, except being hungry. After all, it is a bit difficult to practice the technique when he is hungry. The perfect body tempering technique consumes a lot of energy. He always needs to replenish his energy before practicing. As for the heaven-swallowing demon technique, Chen looked ahead and could not find a suitable target for a while. So let's go have a bowl of ramen first. As soon as you get home after eating, start practicing immediately and see the effect. At the end of a street not far from Baiyun No. 1 Middle School, there is a small noodle shop that looks inconspicuous, with the words, Yang's Noodle Shop, written in white letters on the green sign. The noodle shop is not big. There are 7 or 8 small wooden tables inside. The tables are covered with clean tablecloths, giving people a warm feeling of home. The owner of this noodle shop is a chef named Lao Yang, who is in his 40s or 50s. He often wears a shabby but clean white apron and is busy going back and forth. Although there is only one chef and the noodle shop is small, for people like Chen who like to eat noodles, this is a treasure noodle shop. Yangchun noodles, fried noodles, beef noodles, fried noodles, mixed noodles, cold noodles, hot noodles. As long as it's noodles, there's nothing that Lao Yang can't make, and the taste is all wonderful. Chen is the master here. Customers, my favorite thing on weekdays is to come here to eat a few bowls of noodles after Martial Dao is hungry after training. After one sip, you will be full of energy. Jingle. Wind chimes ring at the door. Master, it's the same as before. After taking a free hot shower at school, Chen walked into the noodle shop. Needless to say, bang bang bang, 4 large bowls of beef noodles were placed in front of him. A pair of chopsticks were handed over to me with rough but steady palms covered with white flour. Brother Chen, I heard that your awakening failed. Chen took the chopsticks and before he started eating, he heard Lao Yang's words in his ears and almost choked him. Chapter 14. How did you know? Chen turned to look at Lao Yang and asked. Lao Yang looks like he is in his 40s or 50s, his face is covered with traces of time. Deep wrinkles crisscross his forehead and corners of his eyes, revealing years of vicissitudes and hard work. His gray hair is neatly combed and exudes a rustic atmosphere. But I don't know if it was Chen's illusion, but I felt that Lao Yang looked much older after not seeing him for a few days. Hey, don't you know, the beautiful reporter from Baiyun TV station has already broadcast it live for you. I also wrote a report called The Boy Running in the Rain. Lao Yang pouted at a TV hanging on the wall of the noodle shop. Baiyun TV's report on Chen was being played above, and the real-time mocking barrage made Chen's mouth twitch after seeing it. It's true that good things don't go out, but bad things spread thousands of miles. Who is mocking me in the live broadcast room? You have nothing to do, right? Especially when he saw the speeches of Sun Chang, Wang Hao, Zhao Xiaoya and other classmates, he was even more speechless. Brother Chen, don't be sad. It's just that your career awakening didn't succeed. Your martial Dao talent is so good. I believe, Brother Chen, you can become a martial artist even if you don't have a career awakening. Lao Yang was a warm-hearted noodle chef, and he had long been familiar with Chen, who came to eat at his place almost every day, so he kindly comforted Chen after learning that Chen failed to awaken. But there was a hint of sympathy and pity hidden in his tired eyes. After all, in this era of national awakening, it is self-evident what the failure of professional awakening means. Of course Chen saw this trace of sympathy, and of course it was hard for him to say anything. Do you want me to say that I am actually a martial artist now and will soon become an immortal? If he really said that, he was afraid that Lao Yang would think that he was crazy because of the stimulation. Therefore, Chen had no intention of taking up the topic again. He shook his head and rested his chopsticks on the table. His eyes scanned the noodle shop for a week. Of the 7 or 8 tables, only 2 were occupied. One table was him, and the other was the 3 people with yellow hair diagonally behind him who looked like gangsters. Lao Yang, don't just talk about me. And you. Why are there so few people in the store today? In the past 3 to 5 days, Chen had not come here to eat noodles in preparation for the final awakening of the immortal cultivation panel. The time now is not too late, it happens to be the time when the social workers get off work. If it goes according to the previous situation, the store will already be overcrowded. Before coming, he had already planned to take the noodles home to share with his cheap sister. But after coming in today, there were only people at Huang Mao's table, which made Su Chen feel a little weird. Brother Xiaochen, you. After hearing Su Chen ask this matter, a bitter smile appeared on Lao Yang's simple and peaceful face, and he was about to say something. Bang! Duck neck. TMD, there's duck neck in this bowl of beef noodles. Huang Mao, who was behind Su Chen, slapped the table and stood up. He stuck out his tongue and looked ugly. He spat a few mouthfuls into his face as if he had eaten something dirty. Same, he said loudly to the boss with a very angry expression. Boss, please explain to me. Why is there duck neck in this bowl of beef noodles? I don't know, I'm allergic to duck neck. Su Chen glanced at Huang Mao's table and did not speak immediately, but buried himself in the meal. You're talking nonsense. My noodles are all freshly made and cleaned every day. The kitchen is cleaner than your bedroom. How could duck necks get in there? Lao Yang was so angry at Huang Mao's words that his face turned red with anger. You said it was a spider and cockroach, but I gritted my teeth and admitted it. But you actually said it was a duck neck. The yellow hair is just too deceiving. You think I'm blind. With such a big duck neck, I can't even see it when I'm serving noodles. Lao Yang was so angry that he picked up his chopsticks and rummaged through Huang Mao's bowl. The noodles are completely just a regular bowl of beef noodles. Look, where's the duck neck? I've eaten all the duck necks clean. How can you tell me that there are no duck necks? I don't care. If you don't pay me 1.8 million today, I will never be done with you. That's right, you dare to feed my yellow-haired brother the duck neck. Believe it or not, we destroyed your noodle shop. Huang Mao and the two gangsters next to him seemed to be convinced by Lao Yang. Even if there was no duck neck in it, they insisted on saying that there was a duck neck, which made Lao Yang tremble with anger and become speechless. Aren't you bullying honest people? Ha ha. Huang Mao sneered at Lao Yang's weak accusation and ignored it. Instead, he focused his attention on Su Chen and reminded him as if he was kind-hearted. Brother, did you hear that? Stop eating it. There is duck neck in the noodles, and the soup is full of duck neck flavor. However, suck. Su Chen was still working hard. This kind of disregard made Huang Mao frown. As he strode closer, he raised his hand and slapped Su Chen on the back of the head. Eat. You still eat it, you're a noodle-eating fairy, right? Didn't you hear me say that there is duck neck in this soup? The yellow-haired palm waved vigorously, and there was a faint sound of breaking through the air. If the palm was hit hard, it would be enough to stagger a normal adult. Brother Xiaochen, be careful, Lao Yang exclaimed, while Huang Mao's two younger brothers held their arms and sneered. Ah, if you don't drink a toast, you'll have to drink a fine wine. Although my brother Huang Mao is not a martial artist, he has the cultivation level of martial apprentice 9th layer. The combat power is as high as 88. There are few enemies under the martial artist. This slap is a sign of mercy for you. Snapped. A slightly clear voice sounded in the noodle shop. However, it was not the sound of Huang Mao's hand slapping the back of Su Chen's head, but a pair of dark chopsticks clamping Huang Mao's hand in the air. Ah! Huang Mao's eyes widened instantly. He tried hard to pull his hands away from the chopsticks, but found that the chopsticks locked his palms tightly like iron pliers, making it impossible to pull them back. What a power! The uninitiated martial Dao disciples can't do it at all. His yellow-haired combat power is as high as 88. To be able to restrain him with just a pair of chopsticks, the opponent's combat power must be at least 100. So, he's a martial artist. Huang Mao's eyes widened, and he looked at the boy in front of him, who was an unknown number of years younger than him, with an unbelievable expression, and looked like he was still a student. Huang Mao, who knew he was in trouble, opened his mouth and was about to say something. But suddenly I felt like the world was spinning in front of me. Su Chen didn't even raise his head, turning the chopsticks in his hand. Huang Mao only felt a powerful force twisting his palms, causing his entire arms and body to rotate, causing his uncontrollable feet to be taken off the ground, and he fell to the sky with a plop on the floor. What? When the two younger brothers saw that their elder brother was being instead of pretending to be cool, their expressions were stunned for a moment, but after they reacted, they immediately raised their fists and stepped towards Su Chen. You dare to touch my brother Wang Hao. You wanna die. Call out. A sound broke through the air, passing by their ears. The burning pain from their cheeks, as if they had been cut by a razor blade, made the two boys stop and subconsciously touch the blood that overflowed from the wound. The two yellow-haired boys turned around with pale faces and tremblingly, only to see a pair of chopsticks inserted deeply into the wall behind them. The two boys suddenly felt their scalps numb and almost peed from the shock. Chen turned his head at this moment, his eyes were cold and his voice was indistinguishable, and he spoke emotionally. I hate people interrupting me when I'm eating noodles. Roll. ... I'm sorry, brother Chen, for making you laugh. After Wang Hao ran out of the noodle shop with his two younger brothers, Lao Yang handed him a new pair of chopsticks. Chen took the chopsticks and asked while eating the noodles. You can tell me what's going on. Lao Yang seemed to have been holding back on this matter for a long time, as if he had finally met someone he could talk to. After sighing, he opened the bench with his rough hands and sat across from Chen, speaking slowly. Brother Chen, you should have heard of Zhang Group. Zhang's Group is a large enterprise in our Baiyun city, a large company, mainly engaged in food and restaurant chain stores and other businesses. Many famous restaurants in Baiyun city are opened by their company. It is said that the assets are tens of billions, but we a tyrant in Baiyun city. About half a month ago, people from the Zhang Group took a fancy to my noodle shop and my skills. They wanted to buy my noodle shop and let me work for them. But let's not talk about it yet. I have only opened this noodle shop for more than 20 years. I have already had feelings for it and don't want to sell it. Not to mention that the reason why I opened the noodle shop is because I don't want to work for others. It is impossible to work part-time, even in this life, so I rejected their acquisition. After I rejected their acquisition, they sent people to negotiate with me 2 or 3 times. After that, they became impatient, so they gave some money to the gangsters like Wang Hao and let them find trouble here to harass me all day long. Harassed my customers, slandered the reputation of my noodle shop, and smashed the plates of my noodle shop. You have seen this situation. Even if I can stand it, there will be no problem with my face. I can't stand it when customers like Wang Hao are here. Brother Chen, I'm not afraid of your jokes. In fact, as early as yesterday, no one came to my noodle shop. You are the only one who came today. If this continues, maybe I will close the shop before long. As he spoke, even Lao Yang himself laughed out loud at these cowardly remarks, his gray hair rippling slightly. Chen buried his head in the rice. It seemed that the conversation had opened up, and he finally had a good person to talk to. Lao Yang's reddish eyes were filled with tears, as if he was drunk without alcohol, and he looked at the white ceiling of the noodle shop with a blank look in retrospect, and babbled. Brother Chen, do you know? Actually, I don't like making noodles. A boy's dream, who doesn't want to travel for 9 days and strive to be the best in the world. But I'm just a noodle maker. When I was as old as you, when I knew that I was only awakened to the life-related profession of making noodles, I also thought about resisting, and I also thought about living an ideal life through other ways. Become what you dreamed of. But I failed. In this era of national awakening, as an ordinary person, what kind of profession I awaken to represents what kind of profession I can only do. Other career paths that may give me a little hope will not accept me at all. The thing that wants me the most is to ask me to make noodles in various ways. I hate it. Why is my profession a noodle maker? I also want to awaken a powerful combat profession, make my parents happy, honor my ancestors, and become someone else's child in the eyes of my neighbors and relatives, but I'm just a noodle maker. Later I finally realized the reality and just made noodles. Although I woke up early and worked late at night, I was a little tired, but at least I could support myself, my family, and my parents, so I opened this noodle shop. Should I say it or not, it's really ironic that the craft I am most resistant to has become my biggest source of support. I am truly worthy of awakening to the noodle making profession. I am indeed very talented in noodle making. In just a few years, the noodle shop has become a prosperous business with regular customers. Don't you think it would be good to work for yourself and slowly expand this noodle shop? If it becomes bigger and stronger, you can create brilliance. But, brother Chen, I'm just a noodle maker. Lao Yang poured a glass of water and seemed to be really drunk. His tone was vague and he said intermittently, Brother Chen, Didn't you ask me in the past? My craftsmanship is so good, better than 5-star chefs, why don't I open a bigger noodle shop and make it a chain store? With my skills, I can help other restaurants in Baiyun City in the future. Not to mention, there must be a place for me, Lao Yang, in the noodle shop. I didn't answer you then. And now? The answer is actually very simple, because I am just a noodle maker. Before me, there are also people who open noodle shops, run businesses, etc. These are middle to high level life-related occupations. I can only be responsible for making noodles, and can't do other things. They look down on us at all and just want me to work for them. Little people like us at the bottom have no choice, so I can only run such a small noodle shop to support myself and my family. If it is not enough, it will violate their taboos and offend them. But it's like this, even if it is like this, my 3/3 of an acre of land will still be plagiarized by them. Lao Yang said angrily, holding his palms covered with traces of time and stained with flour tightly, crying weakly and humiliatingly. Tears streamed from the corners of his eyes. Despair. Chen, who listened quietly, put down his chopsticks. Lao Yang wiped the tears from Kang Ran's face, turned and walked to the kitchen, brought up another large bowl of noodles, and showed a kind smile. Brother Chen, are you not full yet? Perhaps I will close the store tomorrow. Think of this bowl of beef noodles as a gift from me, as a thank you gift for your help just now. Don't refuse. You have been supporting the business of the store for so many years. You as a regular customer, I should treat you to a free bowl of noodles before closing the store. Chen looked down. There was some silence. This bowl of beef noodle soup is crystal clear and exudes a strong aroma of beef, making people salivate. The noodles look springy and chewy, and the delicate texture seems to make people want it. There are several plump beef slices floating in the noodle soup. The meat is tender and juicy and melts in your mouth. The side dishes include vegetables, diced greens, minced garlic and other colorful flavors. This bowl of beef noodles adds a fresh taste to the whole bowl of beef noodles. The color looks bright and attractive, the aroma is fragrant, and the mouthful is full of fragrance after one sip, which is enough to make people have endless aftertaste. But facing such a beautiful bowl of noodles, he did not eat it directly. He just looked at the bowl of noodle soup quietly and said with a sigh. Pity. It's a pity that it's closed. Lao Yang, if such a good noodle shop like yours closes down, where can I go to eat such delicious noodles in the future? Ha ha. Lao Yang laughed and said optimistically as if joking. Brother Chen, don't be so sentimental. This time the Zhang group wants to buy my face and let me work for them. It might be an opportunity for me. There are many 5-star hotels in their group. Maybe we, Old Yang, can also do it. Become a famous 5-star chef. At that time, Brother Chen, you can eat at the place where I work, and I will definitely give you a 30% discount. After the joke was over, Lao Yang reminded Chen with a serious face. Brother Chen, I know you are powerful. You are different from us. You have your own talent and work harder than us. Even if you don't awaken any profession, you may still be able to shine in martial Dao in the future, but don't worry about this. The power of the Zhang group is not something you and I can handle. People like Wang Hao are just low-level gangsters they found. There are many powerful martial artists under the Zhang group. You can beat the awakened ones. Wang Hao, how can he deal with these thugs? Even if they can handle it, the Zhang group can still hire more powerful rank 2 and rank 3 awakeners, which are simply not something we low-level people can compete with. I don't want to implicate you because of this. Besides these violent methods, behemoths like the Zhang group in Baiyun City have 10,000 ways to deal with ordinary people like us. It's impossible to guard against overt and covert attacks. It can be said that from the moment they set their sights on me, my ending was already doomed. Brother Chen, no matter how talented you are, you still need time to grow. No matter how strong you are, you can only protect me for a while, but you can't protect me for the rest of my life. So you don't have to worry about this. I will close the store tomorrow and work for them. I will definitely inform you where I am assigned to work. When the time comes, don't forget to support me, Lao Yang, haha. Old Yang seemed to have really looked away, scratching the back of his head, and an unspeakable smile appeared on his old face with grooves. But Chen still didn't raise his head. He stared at the crystal-clear noodle soup in front of him, looking at his reflection in the noodle soup, and narrowed his eyes slightly. The noodle soup is rippling and figures are wandering. Although he has been in this world for 18 years, he is still full of discomfort with this era of national awakening. The blue star he was in before the transmigrate, and the Shah kingdom he was in, were not like this. Although the conditions of the people at the bottom are difficult and their living environment is far inferior to that here, everyone's face is filled with hope. As long as you work hard, you will be rewarded. As long as you study hard, you will continue to make progress. As long as you study, you will continue to forge ahead. Everyone believes that they can get better in the future, and they are full of yearning for a better life tomorrow. Full of hope and vitality. But this era is different. The national awakening seems to bring people the hope of transcendent, unparalleled power, full of blood and battle, evolution and upgrade, and seemingly infinite brightness. But what about the people below? Who can see the dim light on the faces of those who have failed in awakening and those who have awakened to a low-level profession? Since coming to this world and this era, Chen has seen all the people at the bottom whose faces are full of exhaustion and numbness, and there is no hope in their eyes. A career determines a lifetime. A career determines a lifetime. What kind of career awakens? Does it really determine a person's lifelong destiny? Chen didn't think so. Coming from that era of hope, he knew very well that a person's talents are diverse and should not be denied, but can be tapped and grown. Great accomplishment. Just like the classmate named Yi Fan in their class when they woke up today. The awakening profession is just a food delivery service for the low-level life department, and it seems to have no development prospects at all. But Chen knew that Yi Fan's martial Dao talent was actually very high. Although his family was poor, his health value reached 6.0, which was the highest after him in the second class. Another example is the classmate named Wang Hao in their class. Awakening's job was to be a screwdriver, but Chen knew that he had good academic performance and consistently ranked second or third in the class in every exam. If such a person had lived in the era when he came, even if the initial start was poor, he would definitely be able to accomplish something in the future. But in this era of national awakening, those who make noodles can only make noodles, those who make screws can only make screws, and those who deliver food can only deliver food. There is no room for choice and no opportunity to try. This is such a sad thing. It was precisely because Chen had seen that wonderful era and came from an era full of hope that he felt more deeply about the darkness and despair of the people at the bottom behind this era of national awakening. Sometimes he also wonders why the Blue Star Mother Planet sent him to this world and gave him the training method to transcend the shackles of his profession and become the only true immortal in the world of mortals. Is this funding meant to allow him to show off and slap in the face like in Shuangwen novels, defeating professional geniuses from all walks of life, pushing him to be invincible, and competing with the myriad races prodigy? Or maybe there is another intention. Chen didn't know. He is not a warm-hearted and good person, and he does not have the great ambition to make all the poor people in the world happy. He also does not have such saintly words as establishing a heart for the world, establishing a destiny for life, inheriting the unique knowledge for the saints, and creating peace for all generations. Being poor cares themselves, being wealthy cares the world. He can still do this according to the teachings of the sages. So, even if he is not very rich now, he is not very powerful either. But, after a long silence, Chen suddenly smiled. He seemed to have made some decision, picked up the chopsticks, and ate the noodles. 3 months. What? Lao Yang's unnatural laughter stopped abruptly. He looked at Chen who was immersed in cooking and didn't understand what the word, 3 months, in Chen's mouth meant. The college entrance examination is in 3 months. College entrance examination. What's wrong? Lao Yang blinked, even more confused about what Chen meant. Chen temporarily placed the chopsticks on the bowl. He raised his head, his eyes sparkling, and he twitched the corners of his mouth to reveal a wanton smile on his handsome young face. Old man, are you interested in opening a noodle shop for me for 3 months before the college entrance examination? If you wish, after 3 months, I will guarantee that you will be free and worry-free for the rest of your life. The young man's arrogant voice sounded clearly in the noodle shop, and the mixture of confidence and seriousness in it made Lao Yang stunned, as if he hadn't reacted yet. Brother Xiaochen, you. Chen picked up the chopsticks and continued to cook, explaining while eating. Old man, I wonder if you have ever heard of a man named Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto is an ordinary boy who dreams of becoming the village chief. He doesn't have many friends. His favorite thing on weekdays is to eat noodles at the Happy Noodle House in the east end of the village. The happy chef of the noodle shop has been with him for a long time, and the noodles made by the noodle shop master are the aftertaste of his youth, accompanying him throughout the process of growing up. Happy Noodle House is not a big noodle shop, and the noodles made by the chef are just average. The chef himself is just an ordinary person. There is not much competition among the hundreds of noodle shops in the entire village. Times have changed, and in the fierce market competition, Happy Noodle House has gradually reached the edge of being eliminated, and the noodle shop is about to close. Quote. But one day, the news came that Naruto had become the village chief. Since that day, the Happy Noodle House, which should have been closed, has seen an endless stream of guests and passers-by, and the noodle shop's business has become booming in an instant. And all the people who came in, regardless of their status, whether they were from a wealthy family or a local gangster, were all respectful, smiling, and did not dare to make any mistakes. Everyone in the entire village paid 3 respects to the restaurant master. Quote. Old man, do you know why this is? After finishing the last slice of noodles, Chen placed the chopsticks on the bowl, raised his eyes and spoke. Brother Chen, what do you mean? Lao Yang's lips moved, as if he understood something. That's right. Chen picked up the paper next to him and wiped his mouth. He raised his head and laughed brightly and wantonly, with an indescribable youthful spirit. When one person attains enlightenment, chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. Under the general trend, no one dares to defy it. Old man, if I take the lead in this college entrance examination, may I protect you? Give me 3 months of noodles to give you peace of mind. Chen stood up, placed a few coins on the table, and turned around to leave without waiting for Lao Yang to respond. Looking at the young man's leaving figure, Lao Yang's eyes were blank, he was mumbling, and was speechless for a moment. It was only at the end that I came up with a sentence. I'm not an old man, uncle, I'm only in my 40s. But you are old at heart, uncle. Jingle. Chen opened the door of the store, looked sideways at Lao Yang's words and replied, then he held up his umbrella and walked in the rain. My heart is getting old. Lao Yang lowered his head and murmured, looking at the coins on the table in a daze. When he came back to his senses, he looked up again and saw that Chen's back had disappeared in the rain. The rain is falling, and the fog is white. The young man held an umbrella and walked alone through the streets and alleys. Chen stamped his feet at the entrance of an alley and turned his head to look into the alley. He saw a small black snake lurking in the garbage heap spitting a scarlet snake message at him, its vertical eyes twinkling with light. He seemed to feel the pressure from Chen's sight. After looking at Chen for a few seconds, he immediately lowered his head, turned around and crawled towards the sewer. The hygiene in Baiyun City is getting worse and worse. Snakes and rats are rampant. Chen withdrew his gaze and continued walking in the rain. I don't know if it's his imagination these days, but I always feel like I've seen a lot of these black snakes and mice in the corners, as if this wasn't the case in the past. When did that start? The umbrella hung back slightly, and Chen raised his head, looking at the invisible rain and fog in the sky. He does not know. Just like the invisible rain and fog in the sky, he didn't know when so many snakes and rats began to appear in Baiyun City, and he didn't know what kind of harm these snakes and rats would cause. I don't even know that in this era of national awakening, the concept of a career that determines a lifetime has created many people like Lao Yang who struggled and resisted in the quagmire but could never escape the tragedy of their careers finally surrendering. What can I do for them? Chen doesn't know these things. But, perhaps when I transcend and become an immortal, I will know the answer to everything. Chen's eyes were bright, looking across the street at the apartment building. Put away the umbrella. Ha ha ha. Fighting, upgrading, fun. Sunset and dusk, rain and sunset. As if to welcome the new students, the rain in the sky has stopped, and the golden sunset shines down, spreading like a bright streak of gold on the earth. A group of young and energetic young people come out of the secret realm vortex. Step on this golden great Tao. Wang Hao, who had a oily haircut and wore crocodile leather shoes, was surrounded by a group of people as soon as he came out of the Mecca. Asked excitedly, Brother Wang, how many levels have you upgraded to? What is your health value now? Ha ha, no more, just 3.3. Wow, Brother Wang is awesome. I have only been promoted to 1 level, and now my health value is only 2.0. Brother Wang has already reached 3.3. If we continue at this rate, won't we be able to defeat Su in less than 2 days? Chen Na was pressed to the ground and rubbed, ha ha ha. Ha, who is Su Chen? He is just a loser who failed in his career awakening. It is not known whether his health value can break through to 10.0 in 3 months to take the college entrance examination. How can he be compared with me, Wang Hao? My goal is to be among the top 3 in the first mock test in 10 days. Wang Hao waved his hand with great enthusiasm, indicating that Su Chen, a scumbag who had been abandoned by the times and could only struggle at the bottom, was no longer worthy of being regarded as his opponent. As for why he is so crazy and dares not say first place but only third place, that is because there are 2S level and above professions, by Ruyu and Leng Ruyu, and Wang Hao is not a fool, so he will not talk nonsense. HMPH. Don't be too sure about Wang Hao's words. It's still unclear who will win the 3rd place in the first mock test. Even if Su Chen is rubbish, I, the monitor of Class 2, won't be able to do it. It's so easy for you to win. Sun Chang, who had awakened the A-level shield hero profession, swung his green cloak behind his back and spoke unceremoniously to Wang Hao. There was a bit of personal grudge in his tone. Not only because as the squad leader of Class 2 and Class 3, he and Wang Hao were in a competitive relationship, but there was another, very important thing. There is a school beauty goddess in the same class, and my goddess also likes Su Chen. But after Su Chen pulled her, why can you hold the beauty back, but I can't? Sun Chang glanced at Zhao Xiaoya who was standing next to Wang Hao with some jealousy. Then he thought about his goddess Ruyu. Su Chen was such a waste, but he still defended Su Chen and ignored him. Sun Chang only felt a wave of psychology, unbalanced. Except for Wang Hao and Sun Chang, the 2 leaders who raised their qi and blood points to over 3 points in one afternoon, the other students who came out also improved a lot. Basically, their qi and blood values increased a little, and their strength doubled. And this is just the beginning. This afternoon is just an appetizer, to get familiar with professional abilities. Starting tomorrow is the time to really grind through dungeons to upgrade and become stronger. No one is going to grab monsters for me then. My glasses brother will be the first to reach level 10. After his health reaches 10.0, he will compete with our great genius Su Chen, haha. Let's see how many moves he can take from me. By the way, let me ask you what it feels like for the great genius in our number. One middle school who has been practicing hard for 10 years, but was surpassed by us in more than 10 days. Ha ha ha. Brother Glass's remarks made the students who had been oppressed around him laugh and said with a playful smile. Don't tell me, this is really interesting. I also want to see what our Su Shen's expression will be when I press him to the ground and rub him. Don't worry, the school has prepared 10 copies of Secret Realm for us. There are so many monsters inside that we can't kill them all. It's impossible to kill them all. Everyone can have a part. Hehe, it's a pity that Su Chen can't swipe him. He can only watch us getting stronger, but he has no choice but to wait for us to surpass him and make him anxious to death. While the students were laughing and chatting and gearing up to officially start spawning monsters and leveling up tomorrow. Star Apartments. Inside a bedroom, Su Chen has returned home. He sat cross-legged on the floor and did not immediately start practicing the perfect body tempering technique. Instead, he first took a closer look at the heaven-swallowing demon technique. Heaven-swallowing demon technique has 2 main abilities. The first is to devour the flesh and blood of the ferocious beast, providing him with fuel and converting it into his own energy and blood, replenishing energy and becoming stronger. The second is the abyss of 10,000 demons. Su Chen stretched out his index finger, and on the white fingertip, a dark, pitch-black square-inch vortex that seemed to be able to absorb all the light was slowly rotating. Recalling the divine ability of the heaven-swallowing demon technique, he couldn't help but smile. The 10,000 demonic abyss devours the ferocious beasts, but does not turn them into nutrients. Instead, it throws them into the abyss and transforms them into magical beasts that can be driven by themselves. And there is only one Warcraft. Of the same type of Warcraft, there can only be the strongest one. That is, if he uses this abyss to devour 10 flies now, these 10 flies will kill each other in the abyss, just like raising poison, only the strongest one will survive, and the surviving flies will kill each other. He swallowed up all the others of his kind and became the only fly demon in the abyss. Such ability is quite interesting. Chen pinched his chin and couldn't help but feel a little distracted. So, can I be considered a summoner? You don't need to do anything, you just need to drive the demons in the abyss to devour the enemy. The summoner's style of play is indeed more comfortable. As for how to replenish the demons under his hands, it just so happened that their number 1 middle school had prepared 10 new Secret Realm copies for the students who had just awakened their profession today. Each copy contains a single low-level monster. I'll just swallow it all tomorrow. Although I don't have an awakening profession, as a student of no 1 middle school, it should be no problem to enter a dungeon and fight monsters. Furthermore, the heaven-swallowing demon technique swallows flesh and blood and turns it into nutrients to nourish the body. It also needs to swallow ferocious beasts, so the two things are done together. After deciding on tomorrow's itinerary, Chen stood up and began to try the perfect body tempering technique. Skin, flesh and blood, muscles and marrow, brain and chi. The perfect body tempering technique covers 9 major aspects of the human body and contains 9 corresponding incomplete techniques. The first step is to start with leather forging. The skin forging method is called the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor Body. According to the introduction in Perfect Body Tempering, in ancient times, there was such a kind of dragon, which was golden in color and fed on gold and jade. The scales on its body were sharp and hard. Don't look directly, lest you go blind. Of course, the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor's body recorded in the Perfect Body Tempering technique did not require him to train his skin to be as hard as dragon scales. Basic accomplishment of forged leather: the leather is like cowhide. When the sword cuts it, only white marks will be left. It is difficult to see blood. Great accomplishment of forged leather: the skin is like gold and jade, invulnerability to spears and sabers, invulnerable to water and fire, not afraid of cold or heat. In this way, the skin tempering stage of the perfect body tempering technique has been completed, and you can enter the lower rank 1 stage. After roughly understanding the steps of leather forging, Chen began to practice the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor Body, which is a set of skills with only 5 movements. Every action seems simple, but there are countless details that need to be paid attention to. Just the first movement took Chen half an hour to adjust before he could barely make it. And at the moment when this first movement posture imitating the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor took shape, Chen suddenly I felt the thumping sound of my heart inside my body. The sound was loud, like a bell, and the blood in the body seemed to flow rapidly in the blood vessels. The power of countless qi and blood penetrated the body surface, constantly tempering and beating the skin of the body. In just a few minutes, Chen's body began to tremble violently, and he was sweating profusely on his forehead. Drops of dark red blood seeped out from the pores of his skin, and traces of blood flowed. The severe pain and consumption made the muscles of his hands and feet almost spasm. But even so, Chen still tried his best to maintain the first movement of the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor God. He gritted his teeth tightly and looked ferocious but couldn't help laughing. Qi and blood value add 0.1. Closing square bracket. Qi and blood value add 0.1. Closing square bracket. Qi and blood value add 0.1. Closing square bracket. On the cultivation panel, the column for his energy and blood beat almost every minute, increasing by 0.1 each time. In just a few minutes, his blood value went from 10.0 at the beginning to 10.5, and it would be 11.0 in no time. What is this concept? You must know that he has obtained the immortal cultivation panel for more than 10 years. In the past, it was like practicing martial arts, practicing Sanju in winter, Sanfu in summer, Wenji Qi Dan, and never slackened off his hard training every day, which raised his qi and blood value from about 1 point to 10, a total of it's only 8 or 9 points, and the average annual improvement is less than 1 point. But now, in just a few minutes, his blood value has increased a little. At this rate, Chen simply couldn't imagine how strong he would become if he could persist like this for one night. Really, there is really no future for practicing martial arts in this world. Only those who cultivate immortality. In order to facilitate his practice, Chen simply took off his clothes and threw them on the ground. Ding dong. Xiaoming, look, is that your brother up there? When Su Chen was refining skin in the bedroom. Bright living room interior. A childlike Lolita who is 17 or 18 years old and only 1.6 meters tall is lying on the sofa playing with her mobile phone. She was wearing a white nightgown. She had an innocent face and snow-white skin. She exuded a light fragrance. Her hair was wet, as if she had just taken a shower. Her two white and tender feet were kicked and raised from time to time, and she didn't know what they had brushed. After the video, she smiled and showed her little fangs, which was very cute and cute. The girl looks like an innocent and cute little loli, but judging from the size of her squeezed out on the sofa, using small words to describe it is a bit inappropriate. This big Lolita is Su Chen's cheap sister, Lin Xiaoming. Of course, it can be seen from the last name that they are not related. It was brought back from nowhere when Su Chen's parents were still alive. After they were brought back, Su Chen's parents burped after completing the task within 2 days. The two of them were left to depend on each other, but fortunately, their parents left Su Chen this large apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and several million in savings, so over the years, Su Chen and his wife lived a practical life. Not bad. They all went to high school naturally. It's just that they are not in the same high school. Su Chen is in the 3rd grade of Beiyun number 1 middle school, and Lin Xiaoming is in the 2nd grade of Beiyun number 2 middle school. Lin Xiaoming, who was currently playing short videos on her phone and giggling, suddenly received a message from her best friend Xiaoyu on her phone. My brother, what's wrong? Seeing her best friend speak eagerly, Lin Xiaoming pouted with a confused expression, but then she seemed to think of something, and a hint of joy flashed in her eyes. Could it be that Su Chen awakened to some extraordinary profession that shocked the entire network? Thinking of this possibility, Lin Xiaoming immediately opened the chat box and clicked on a news video sent by her best friend. Shock. Fallen altar. Closing square bracket. Su Chen, the genius academic master who has always been the number 1 in Beiyun number 1 middle school, unexpectedly suffered a huge upset. He failed to awaken and has no career. Closing square bracket. A boy in the playground, running in the rain. Is it anger at an unfair fate or a cry unwilling to accept life? Closing square bracket. Each capitalized title comes into view. Looking at the report on Su Chen's failure to awaken in the video, as well as the taunting barrage in the live broadcast room in the video, Lin Xiaoming couldn't help but exclaimed, "What's going on? Why did Su Chen fail to awaken? No wonder he went to the bedroom without saying a word when he got home just now, and he hasn't come out yet. So that's how it is." Thinking of Su Chen's lost figure just now, Lin Xiaoming couldn't help but cover her mouth, her eyes slightly red. She felt that Su Chen must be hiding in the bedroom crying sadly. How did that happen? How could the awakening fail? Su Chen's grades are so good. Little dream. Xiaoming, are you okay? Maybe it was because he hadn't received a response for a long time, but Lin Xiaoming's best friend on the opposite side sent another worried inquiry. I'm fine. Lin Xiaoming shook her head after seeing it. Xiaoming, I know you are very sad now, but your brother used to be so brilliant, but now he has failed and fallen into a trough. He must have felt even more uncomfortable and suffered a big blow. You see, he ran so many laps in the rain to vent his anger. Quote, how about you go comfort him? I'm worried that if he continues to be like this, he might get sick. Comfort him. Lin Xiaoming bit her white thumb at the suggestion of her best friend, thought about it, and replied after a while. But how can I comfort him? He is so powerful. He used to comfort me. How do I know? I don't have a brother. How about you go to Qiandu? Okay. After Lin Xiaoming replied to the message, she immediately opened her mobile browser and checked it 1,000 times. When my brother encounters something sad, how should I comfort him, help him vent his emotions, and make him happy? Closing square bracket. After thousands of searches, recommended posts appeared in front of Lin Xiaoming's eyes in an instant. There are a wide variety of methods. Lin Xiaoming didn't know what post she saw, but her cheeks turned red and she looked shy. How could this be? But thinking that Su Chen might be hiding in the room crying and needing comfort, Lin Xiaoming bit her lips and nodded in agreement. She took a deep breath and put her phone on the tea table. Wearing her delicate little feet on pink slippers, she walked towards Su Chen's room. From the screen of Lin Xiaoming's cell phone that was about to go out, it could be seen that under the post she was referring to, the words, "Sky of the Sky," were displayed in the relevant recommendations. In the bedroom, Chen had changed from the posture of practicing the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body to a normal standing position. He was naked to the waist, standing in a pool of sweat, his chest heaving up and down, and his breathing was rapid. Drops of sweat flowed down his clear muscle lines. From the chest muscles to the abdominal muscles, they were as perfect as sculptures. They were compact and powerful, full of power, but they did not appear bloated, but were wild and wild like a rigorously trained cheetah. Strong sense of speed. The hot breath of entanglement on his body made the temperature of the whole room rise a bit. 15 minutes. Looking at the clock on the wall mirror, Chen let out a long breath. He only lasted for 15 minutes in the first posture of the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body. His muscles all over his body were sore and weak, his body was shaking like chaff, and his physical strength was greatly consumed. He could no longer maintain it at all. I had to interrupt my practice. But even if I only persisted for 15 minutes, my blood value increased from the initial 10.0 to 12.0, a full 2 points. And, looking at the light red stains of blood and sweat on the ground, Chen pinched his skin. Not only does it look whiter and tenderer than at the beginning, but its toughness has indeed become much stronger. The effect is remarkable. The price for achieving such results in such a short period of time is physical fatigue, pain and hunger. Not to mention the soreness of the muscles in the body, the most important thing is the instinctive hunger from the body, which gave Chen a deeper understanding of the consumption of the perfect body tempering technique. The consumption was really too much. You must know that before coming back, he had just eaten 5 bowls of beef noodles at Lao Yang's place. It hadn't even been an hour yet but my stomach started growling with hunger again. It seems that if you want to practice the perfect body tempering technique continuously for a long time, you must replenish the required energy and time. Otherwise, it will overdraw the body and it is not enough. And I'm afraid ordinary food is not enough to support the amount I will need for my subsequent cultivation. After making a judgment about your own situation, Chen also had a clearer understanding of his future cultivation path. Use the heaven-swallowing demon technique to swallow the energy and blood of the ferocious beast, and then practice the perfect body tempering technique. After this part of the energy and blood is consumed, replenish it again. Only through such a forward circulation can we reach the great Tao directly. Tomorrow I will go to the secret realm prepared by the school. It seems that I have to work harder. Not only do I have to prepare the materials for all the demons in the abyss, but I also have to devour a few more ferocious beasts to replenish my energy and blood for training. As for now, have a meal. Looking at his increasingly strong and perfect body in the glasses, Chen didn't stop to admire it. After simply wiping the sweat on his body, he picked up the shirt on the bed and prepared to put it on. And just at this moment, boom boom, Chen, are you crying? I'm in. There was a knock on the door, and before Chen could respond, Lin Xiaoming opened the door and walked in. I already know the matter, don't be sad. As she approached, her pink little mouth said some comforting words prepared in advance. However, buzz, the curtains flickered. Opening the door seemed to let the hot air in the room finally find an outlet, and a hot air mixed with strong male hormones rushed towards his face. Having just walked in, Lin Xiaoming raised her head subconsciously, and was completely stunned by the scenery in the room mid-sentence. In a streamlined bedroom, the curtains flickered, and the bright moonlight filtered through. Under the moonlight, the young man stood barefoot on the floor. His naked body was faintly exuding heat that distorted the air. His long black hair seemed to be soaked in water, with some water drops hanging down. Sweat dripped under the moonlight, like crystal water drops hitting the collarbone, turning into countless small water droplets, rolling down the boy's contours and muscle lines full of wildness and strength. He had a handsome face and was holding a shirt in one hand. He seemed to be interrupted by an outsider when he was about to put on his clothes, so the young man turned his face slightly and cast a pair of dark eyes. Breathtaking. Such a scene made Lin Xiaoming subconsciously swallow the jade liquid as she walked in. Her pink lips were slightly opened, her eyes were wide, and her innocent and cute little face couldn't help but be stunned. Xiaoming, you came just in time. I'm so sore, please help me press it later. Chen didn't panic, he just put on his clothes and said calmly. Bang kai, in the middle of a dense forest. A black and yellow wild boar was stepping on the ground with its front hooves, preparing for the next collision. This wild boar is about half the height of a man. It looks muscular. Its body is covered with huge tusks and hard armor. He lowers his head and prepares to attack. His eyes are staring at the two-legged beast in front of him, flashing. There was a fierce light, and bursts of hot air came out of the nostrils. Suddenly it seemed that the Twi'lek's movement had irritated him. The wild boar let out a deafening roar and then rushed towards Su Chen. The fangs in his eyes flashed with cold light, and his strong body ran like a moving chariot with an aura of madness and ferocity. However, when faced with such a brutal collision, Su Chen refused to dodge. Just stretch out a palm and touch it forward. Bang! The grass and trees shook, and green leaves fell. The wild boar directly hit Su Chen's palm, causing the soil under his feet to fly. It made a growling sound, but it was unable to shake Su Chen in the slightest. Most of the newcomer dungeons prepared by the school for the students are ordinary beasts that have not yet entered the advanced level. For Su Chen, whose health value reached 12.0 and had already entered the martial artist realm, handling a wild boar couldn't be easier. It's just that wild boars are known for their stubbornness. If they hit a big tree, they usually don't change directions, but choose to knock the big tree down angrily. The same was true for the yellow-headed wild boar. Even though there was no sign of bumping into Su Chen, it still didn't give up. It continued to press against Su Chen's palm and compete with all four hooves. Gulu. A hungry voice sounded in the forest. Su Chen lowered his head and touched his stomach with his free hand. In order to try the ability of heaven-swallowing demon technique, he came here hungry this morning. The purpose is to know. Is there any difference between swallowing in the heaven-swallowing demon technique and actively eating to replenish energy? So, heaven-swallowing demon technique. Su Chen lowered his eyes and looked down at the stubborn wild boar. As he used his skills, a dark vortex like a black hole slowly spun out from the palm of his hand. The deep darkness exuded a chilling demonic aura, and the fear that it would be swallowed up once it fell into it actually made the hair of this stubborn yellow-headed wild boar stand on end in an instant, and it shuddered, and he uttered the screams of fear out of instinct of life or necessary to retreat. But before he could move, Su Chen grabbed his fangs with one hand and was unable to move. The wild boar looked up in panic, only to see a dark vortex covering it. Accompanied by the yellow-headed wild boar's mournful cry, the wild boar was swallowed down by the whirlpool without any surprise. Ding! Increase the blood value by 0.05. Closing square bracket. Along with a satisfying feeling of fullness, the column of vitality and blood values on Su Chen's cultivation panel suddenly jumped. From the original 12.0 to 12.05. Hold the grass. Such a sudden change made Su Chen, who had always been elegant and easygoing, unable to help but curse. As we all know, it is difficult to increase the blood value, and it becomes more difficult to increase the later you go. He used it in the past and it took him more than 10 years to improve it by less than 10 points. Yesterday, he spent 15 or 20 minutes perfecting the body tempering technique and improved it by 2 points. He already felt that he was invincible. But I didn't expect, there are still masters. Eating one wild boar can increase your points by 0.05. So if I devour 100 wild boars, wouldn't it mean that I would directly increase my points by 5, 1,000, or 10,000? With 500 health points, whether I can dominate the National College entrance examination is not a problem, but dismantling a Gundam with my bare hands shouldn't be a problem. Thinking of this, Su Chen couldn't help but heat up as he looked at the group of wild boars hidden in the dense forest ahead. Although there are only 1,000 wild boars in the wild boar secret realm, not as many as 10,000, don't forget that there are 9 other newcomers in the school, the secret realm. If they are all devoured, it will be enough to collect so much health value. So, become my nourishment. Jia Jia Jia. Really, although it is said that there are no good or bad skills, magic skills are magic skills. If you practice them too much, your laughter will easily go astray. But it's okay. This state of affairs did not last long. To be precise, Su Chen stopped after swallowing the second wild boar. Because I am full. In the messy jungle, Su Chen burped. He felt as if he had swallowed 2 wild boars alive. He was almost full and could not devour any more. The blood value has increased by 0.1 in total. It seems that using the heaven-swallowing demon technique to swallow and replenish energy is really not much different from eating by yourself. The physical body cannot exceed the carrying limit. Chen stopped and pinched his chin, reflecting for a moment. It's a pity that you can't devour and improve without limit, but this full state is just right for cultivating the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body. Wait until it is consumed and then replenish it. By repeating this cycle, the progress of skin training will be greatly improved. Maybe it will be possible to reach the point of basic accomplishment in 3 days. Chen set a small goal for himself. However, he was not in a hurry to start cultivating the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body right away. Heaven-swallowing demon technique is another ability that he hasn't tried yet. The abyss of 10,000 demons. He himself cannot devour it without limit, as he has a physical body to bear limits. But there are no demons in the abyss. The more you swallow the same type, the stronger it becomes. That is to say, he only needs to throw the wild boars in the wild boar forest into the abyss, turn them into his own demon pigs, and then continue to feed other wild boars and let the demon pigs devour them. Then the demon pig will become stronger and stronger. I wonder what level my demon pig will reach after it devours all the 1,000 wild boars in this wild boar forest. Chen cast his dark eyes into the depths of the wild boar forest, and he was ready to start raising Gu. Brothers, look, there are only 800 wild boars left in the wild boar secret realm. There were still 1,000 wild boars yesterday. Who is the boss who went in and spawned monsters so quickly? In the secret realm square of No. 1 Middle School. There is a capital number 800 on the whirlpool gate that belongs to the wild boar forest secret realm, which means that there are only 800 wild boars left in the wild boar forest secret realm. The logo displayed on the door of the secret realm copy is, on the one hand, for the school to conveniently observe the number of beasts in the secret realm and replenish them in time when the number is small. On the other hand, it is also to provide some information to the students, telling them that all the monsters in this dungeon are about to be wiped out. You can go to other dungeons instead of crowding together. And at this moment, in the secret realm square, in front of the wild boar forest copy, a group of people pointed at the numbers on the copy and kept exclaiming, "Call, it's reduced again. There are only 788 wild boar left. Oh my god, are the bosses so curly? Yesterday, we agreed that there would be a lot of monsters in the dungeon and that everyone should stop grabbing them. But as soon as I got up and went to school, the wild boar forest was almost wiped out. This is the first official day. Who is the big boss in there who can brush up so fast?" The wild boar forest dungeon, among the 10 newbie dungeons provided to them at the school, is of an above-average level of difficulty. Many people who entered the wild area yesterday failed to kill a single wild boar after hunting for a long time, and were almost injured. I didn't expect that in just half an hour today, out of 1,000 wild boars, only about 700 were left. Could it be that a big boss who has awakened to the A-level profession has gone in? I know, it's Wang Hao, the monitor of Class 3. I just saw Wang Hao taking Goddess Xiaoya in, it must be him. Someone in the crowd made a statement, which instantly caused a group of students to nod in agreement. That's right, if that's the case, that's normal. My brother Wang is an A-level mecha master. The mecha is equipped with a radar scanner, holographic thermal imaging, and a 3-meter-long giant sword. It can chop down wild boars with just one sword. With such strength, and being so serious about grinding monsters and upgrading today, it seems that my brother Wang is determined to win the first mock test in 10 days. HMPH. As a classmate from Class 2 who competes with Class 3 all year round, he was unhappy. The glasses guy snorted coldly, pushed up his glasses with his middle finger, and said confidently, "You guys, Class 3, don't want to flatter yourselves." In that moment, there were 10 fewer wild boars at the same time. Even if the mecha master has a great advantage at the beginning, he is just driving an orange training machine and it is not enough to kill him in one breath. Kill 10 wild boars. I would say that there must have been a lot of people inside at the same time, so there was a large decrease in wild boars in a short period of time. But even so, my brother Wang is the one who kills the most monsters. Among the 252 dead wild boars, my brother Wang must have killed at least 200. If you don't believe it, let's wait and see. When brother Wang comes out, the answer will be revealed. The door that holds the entrance to the secret realm in front of you, in addition to recording the number of wild monsters inside, can also detect the number of monsters killed in each student's hands. The more monsters killed, the more movement in the secret realm vortex will appear when they come out. The bigger. Although Wang Hao's speech was a bit exaggerated, no one at the scene objected. Even the glasses guy didn't want to be slapped in the face. After all, the Mecha Master's early advantage is too great. Even if we don't kill 200, there will always be 100. There is no point in continuing to argue. Glasses, let's go. The speaker was none other than Dunyang Sun Chang, the monitor of Su Chen's class. With a flick of his green cloak and a slight snort, he led the team into his dungeon of Pheasant Slope yesterday. It can be seen from his hurried steps that he still feels a little urgent. Sun Chang didn't expect that Wang Hao would be so voluptuous. He had just finished eating the steamed buns and came to school when Wang Hao had already killed 200 to 300 wild boars. Who knows how many levels these 200 or 300 wild boars can upgrade Sun Chang to, and how much experience they can provide. How can I confront him in the mock exam after 10 days like this? What's the point of having to torture Su Chen, a loser who hasn't awakened his profession? No, I have to get serious too. If you can kill 200 to 300 wild boars out of 1,000, I, Sun Chang, will kill more than you. Sun Chang's eyes burned with fiery light, and he also set a small goal for himself. There are 10,000 pheasants on Pheasant Hill, and I, Sun Chang, will kill at least 5,000 of them. The classmates in the Secret Realm Square were all talking enthusiastically, admiring Wang Hao for his awesomeness. Within the Wild Boar Forest Secret Realm. It's strange. We've been here for a long time, but why did we only encounter 2 or 3 wild boars? A pair of crocodile leather shoes stepped on the grass. Wang Hao scratched his head, and there was a puzzled question in his mouth. His big eyes were full of doubts. It's really weird. Judging from yesterday's route, we have now gone deep into the wild boar forest. Why did we encounter 2 or 3 wild boars along the way? Wang Hao, why don't you take out the mecha and scan it with the radar? Zhao Xiaoya next to Wang Hao reminded him. His expression was somewhat impatient. Because these 2 days of getting along with her made her realize that Wang Hao was really stingy. Even though he didn't use the mecha, he still led them around like headless flies in the wild boar forest looking for wild boar monsters, just to save a few bucks. Break the energy crystal. As a result, I have only killed 2 or 3 wild boars in a long time since I walked in. The experience was divided among the 5 members of their team. Not much at all. Until now, she was only at level 2, and her vitality value was only 2.0, which made Zhao Xiaoya feel very unhappy. Because her goal for rank 1 is to use 10 days to raise her health value to above 10.0 before the first mock test, surpassing Su Chen. It would be best to personally defeat Su Chen in the mock exam and tell Su Chen, I, Zhao Xiaoya, made the right choice. You are not worthy of me at all. But with how stingy Wang Hao is now, when will she be able to reach level 10? Xiaoya, don't worry, I'll take out the mecha right now. Wang Hao also knew that he wasted a lot of time and smiled awkwardly. Then he yelled in a very guise. Mecha body integration. An orange halo emerged behind Wang Hao, accompanied by a mechanical clicking sound. A 3 to 4 meter tall training machine, mainly orange and supplemented by white, appeared out of thin air on the ground. And Wang Hao himself also sat in the mecha. This is exactly the ability of a mecha master. Not only can he pilot a mecha, but he can also summon the mecha out of thin air after being bound. He can get on the machine in 1 second. There will be no chance that a mecha master will be raped because he went out on the street without a mecha. A bloody beating. Of course, some attentive students may ask here. Teacher, didn't you say that you still have 1 second to get on the plane? What if you get beaten up during this second of time to get on the plane? Then I can only say that this second is an invincible frame. AKBS Orange Training Aircraft number 9000 is activated. In the dark cockpit, rows of sci-fi light screens lit up, and Wang Hao sat in them and commanded the dialing. Turn on the life radar. Search for all life forms within 10 miles. Mark the most powerful wild boar king in this dungeon for me. Wang Hao was not a fool. He also felt Zhao Xiaoya's impatience. So in order to make up for the goodwill he had lost in front of Zhao Xiaoya, he planned to take Zhao Xiaoya directly to fight the boss. Pretend hard. Let Zhao Xiaoya experience the romance that belongs to men. Ding. The life radar has been turned on. The distribution of life forms within a 10-mile radius has been revealed. The location of the Wild Boar King is being searched. Although it is just a training machine, it is an AKBS Orange Series training machine that Wang Hao endured the pain and spent a huge sum of money to buy. The core running speed is not low, but he quickly found the location of the Wild Boar King in 3 seconds. Out. Ahead, traces of the Wild Boar King are found 800 meters away. Closing square bracket. Warn. Closing square bracket. It has been detected that someone is fighting with the Wild Boar King. Master, please be careful. Closing square bracket. Oh, is someone fighting the Wild Boar King? Wang Hao looked at the 2 red dots close together on the radar and couldn't help but smile crookedly. Although most of the dungeons provided by the school are ordinary wild monsters, as the dungeon boss, the Wild Boar King still has rank 1 strength, with a combat power of 1 or 200 points. Facing this ferocious beast with a combat power of 1 to 200, he had to be a little more careful even when driving a mecha, let alone other people. At this stage, after awakening for only 1 day, almost none of the professionals in Baiyun number 1 middle school can fight the Wild Boar King. So judging from his IQ of 1 million, it must be the unlucky student who accidentally encountered the boss while exploring the dungeon and is now being hunted. Hee. Thinking of the admiring looks he would receive when he passed by the Divine Weapon General, the angle of Wang Hao's mouth became even more exaggerated. It's just a pity. If only the person in front who was being chased by the Wild Boar King was Su Chen. Wang Hao sighed inwardly. It wasn't that he wanted Su Chen to be killed or something, but that it was nice to show off in front of his classmates. Especially this classmate, who used to be a top student, pretending to be the best in various martial Dao classes all day long, but ended up in danger in the Wild Boar Forest, and he, Wang Hao, needed to come to the rescue. This kind of plot makes me feel so happy just thinking about Wang Hao. In Wang Hao's eyes, Su Chen, who failed in his professional awakening, has been abandoned by this era. There is nothing to say about the future. He can only be reduced to a 3rd-tier minor role, used to set off the strength of his protagonist. But Wang Hao just thought about this kind of thing. After all, in his opinion, Su Chen had failed to awaken. He didn't even have the most rubbish life profession, and he couldn't defeat monsters and upgrade. There was no reason to copy Secret Realm. So the person in front couldn't be Su Chen. Although I regret this, it's fine that the person in front is another classmate. Anyway, let me show off first and restore Zhao Xiaoya's favor. Therefore, after Wang Hao discovered the location of the Wild Boar King, he immediately spoke to Zhao Xiaoya and others and led them towards the target location. Ouch! In a dense forest, the grass and trees were broken, and the big trees were scattered all over the ground as if they had been broken by some terrifying beast. Within a radius of 10 meters, there was a mess. And in this messy jungle, a 2-meter-tall Wild Boar King, as big as a Wuling Hongguang, looked up to the sky and let out an angry roar. Under the dazzling sunlight, Su Chen, who was in midair, twisted his body, activated all his muscles, concentrated tons of power on one point, and punched the Wild Boar King on the head. Boom! With a dull explosion, the ground cracked under the Wild Boar King's hooves, and messy ring-shaped dust mist spread out. Wait until the smoke clears. The scarred Wild Boar King had completely collapsed to the ground. It really took a lot of time. It would be great if there was an offensive martial arts method. Tread. Su Chen landed in front of the Wild Boar King. His clothes were a little messy and he was breathing slightly. It was obvious that he had experienced a fierce battle with the Wild Boar King. Different from ordinary wild boars. This Wild Boar King has rank 1 strength. Coupled with its huge size and rough skin, even Su Chen spent a lot of time to capture it. It was precisely because of this that Su Chen discovered his own shortcomings in this battle, which was his lack of offensive power. It was obvious that he and the Wild Boar King had almost the same vitality and health, but he was unable to take it down because of the lack of powerful attacks. Down. This took a lot of time. But it took a lot of effort. But the rewards are worth it. Su Chen looked carefully at this huge Wild Boar King. It had sharp and thick hair like a porcupine, solid muscles, ferocious fangs, and a huge body of 2 meters high. Even if it was collapsed on the ground, it would trigger the emanation. The pressure of the ferocious beasts that came out was enough to scare the average person. Chen nodded slightly, his eyes becoming more and more satisfied. It couldn't be more suitable for such a ferocious beast to be used to collect 10,000 demons Tianyuan as the final Gu King blueprint. Snapped. A slender palm pressed on the wild boar king's forehead. Become the first demon in my abyss. With Chen whispering. A dark vortex emerges from the palm of your hand. It grew bigger and bigger, like a black pool, gradually engulfing the 2-meter-high body of the wild boar king. The vortex flows in reverse direction. It gradually became smaller and retracted into Chen's palm. And through the vortex in the palm of the hand, exuding the luster of black crystal, one can see the endless depths of the vortex. Endless demonic energy poured into the wild boar king's body, transforming the wild boar king's body. After the demonic energy dissipated, the exhausted and scarred wild boar king stood up again. Its eyes were scarlet, the hair on its body was dark and shiny, and the terrifying evil energy entanglement on its body was like a flame, exuding a ferocious and violent aura. The first thing the wild boar king did after standing up was to attack the other one in the abyss. The injured demon pig let out a huge roar. This demon pig was the one that Chen devoured at the beginning. Under his constant feeding, it grew from half a meter tall to 2 meters tall, but it was still not as tall as the wild boar king, who had previously assisted him in the wild boar. When Wang was fighting, he was seriously injured and was taken back into the Tianyuan by Chen in time. But now, this wild boar has been smashed into a mass of demonic energy by the newly born wild boar king in the abyss, and has been completely absorbed. In an instant, the two forces merged. When Chen summoned the wild boar king again, the wild boar king was actually 3 meters tall and nearly 4 meters tall, evolving from Wuling Hongguang to a baby bus. Such a huge body, coupled with its dark hair and sharp claws, is simply oppressive. Just standing in the forest, the fierce aura conveyed by it is enough to scare the surrounding birds and beasts away. Not bad. Chen looked at the newly born wild boar king and happily patted the huge thigh-thick fangs near his mouth. He was originally the boss in the wild boar forest, but he absorbed the yellow-headed wild boar just now that gathered the power of 200 to 300 wild boars. At this moment, the strength of the wild boar king has reached the level of rank 1 middle level. The combat power is at least 500 to 600. With such strength, looking at the entire wild boar forest, no one can reach the wild boar king in danger. In this case, the matter of the first demon in Tianyuan can be brought to an end for now. I can practice with peace of mind. After all, practicing perfect body tempering in the wild is a technique that consumes a lot of money on oneself. It is still very unsafe without a protector. Now that he has the wild boar king, Chen can practice with peace of mind. After he has consumed almost all the energy in his body, he can continue to devour it. Feel the hot blood rolling inside your body. Chen didn't waste too much time. After ordering the wild boar king to stand guard, he found a quiet place and prepared to practice the golden jade dragon emperor body. See it? Have you seen it? That big ugly black pig is the boss of the wild boar forest. When Chen hid and started refining his skin. The other direction. Wang Hao came over with people. Did you see that? The wild boar that is as big as the baby bus is the boss of the wild boar forest. Oh my god, he's so big and he's still a mutant boss. Behind a pile of rocks not far away, Wang Hao and others were observing the wild boar king intently. The hair is black and shiny, like porcupine barbs, thick and hard, with rough skin and thick flesh, sharp tusks as thick as a human thigh, and a body that is more than 3 meters tall and as huge as a large truck, full of oppression, and its scarlet the eyes and the vague black energy around them are obviously different from the ordinary wild boar king, and they are a more powerful mutant. Even though the wild boar didn't seem to notice them at this moment, just lowering its head and grazing under a tree root, it made many people in the team retreat. Brother Wang, forget it. This mutant wild boar king looks a bit fierce. It feels different from other wild boars. I always feel that something is a little weird. Not only the two younger brothers, but Zhao Xiaoya also frowned slightly, her pretty face full of worry. This is not to blame for their fear. In fact, the aura of the wild boar king opposite is too strong and the pressure of the wild boar monster they encountered before is not at the same level. Now they are only 2 or 3 levels, and their combat power is only 20 or 30. If they really anger this wild boar king and Wang Hao is not his opponent, they will be in misery. Brother Wang, how about I use the combat power meter to measure the combat power of this wild boar king, and then make plans? No need. A young boy from the cautious faction took out a combat power meter and wanted to measure the combat power of the opposite wild boar king, but Wang Hao raised his hand to stop him. Don't bother. I am the strongest at this stage. Compared to the worries on everyone's faces, Wang Hao had a confident smile on his face. The 10 dungeons prepared for them by the school are all newcomer dungeons. The boss in each copy is only at the level of an ordinary rank 1, so in Wang Hao's opinion, the combat power of this wild boar king is only 1 or 200 at best. Even after mutation, the combat power should only be 200. Just 300, it belongs to the rank 1 low-level ferocious beast. The rank 1 low-level beasts with combat power of 2 to 300 may still have an insurmountable gap for other professionals who have just awakened for a day or two. But for him, an A-level mecha master, I don't believe that any flesh and blood creature can withstand the power of my spear and cannon. What's wrong with the mutant wild boar king? Look at me and smash it into a sieve with just one stroke. Click, click. The mecha driven by Wang Hao stood up from behind the pile of rocks. According to the radar, the classmate who confronted the wild boar king earlier should be hiding not far away now. Maybe he is shivering pitifully. Let me, Brother Wang, save him. Wang Hao's confident words seemed to have some kind of contagious power, causing the younger brother who had already placed his hand on the switch key to measure the combat power of the wild boar king to subconsciously move his hand away. Will you win? Zhao Xiaoya finally asked. Will win. I am invincible in this copy. Wang Hao turned his head and gave Zhao Xiaoya a cool thumbs up, then drove the mecha, took out the 99-style Buddhist Gatling on his back, and blasted wildly at the wild boar king in front of him. Fry. Da da da. The dense bullets poured out like a violent storm, and wherever they passed, vegetation and boulders were scattered everywhere. The wild boar king who was grazing leisurely in front was instantly covered by firepower, and smoke and dust were everywhere. The 99-style Buddha says Gatling. 99 turns in a flash. One breath can continuously fire 99 breaths. The total bullet capacity is 99 times 99, a total of 9,801 bullets. Each bullet is enough to send someone to see the Buddha. I don't believe I can't kill you. Ha ha ha. The angry roar of the wild boar king came from the thick dust mist. Under the light of the fire, Wang Hao also laughed. That's awesome. 666. Brother Wang is truly worthy of being a mecha master. With this kind of terrifying fire suppression, I'm afraid not even the scum on the other side will be left. The little brother who was originally a little worried couldn't help but stand aside and shout 666 after seeing how powerful the firepower equipped on Wang Hao's mecha was. Zhao Xiaoya's eyes also lit up. At first, she thought Wang Hao might be a bit nervous about fighting such a big wild boar, but now it seems that she is really being overly preoccupied. It is common sense that mutated bosses can give more experience than ordinary bosses. If Wang Hao can kill the mutated wild boar king boss in front of her, then she will be able to level up no matter what when the experience is shared. HMPH. Zhao Xiaoya couldn't help but snorted. She knew her choice was right. You see, the Wang Hao she is looking for now can fight against such a powerful mutant wild boar king boss. Can Chen, a loser with no professional talent, do this kind of thing? It doesn't matter if martial Dao talent is high, or combat power may be above 100. It's not that he can't beat the wild boar king. How can he directly crush Wang Hao with his mecha and level up quickly? Thinking of her father's words of praise for Chen martial Dao talent yesterday, she couldn't help but want to rebel. Hey. Noticing the admiring gaze from Zhao Xiaoya, knowing that the goddess was almost fascinated by him, Wang Hao couldn't help laughing in his heart. It's so cool to bring my girl up to the next level. He yelled in the direction behind the boar king. The classmate who is hiding in front of you, please come out quickly. Stop hiding, come out, your brother Wang is here to save you. The wild boar king has been beaten into pieces by me. However, before Wang Hao could finish his words, a sudden change occurred on the scene. Ouch! The firepower covered the whole area, and suddenly the angry roar of the wild boar king came out, and a black energy full of demonic nature filled the air, followed by a burst of shaking. The wild boar Wang's eyes were red, and he rushed out in the face of the stray bullet. The bullets hit its rough epidermal hair one after another, as if they were hitting steel, with sparks flying and crackling, without causing any damage at all. Ah, how could this happen? Inside the mecha, Wang Hao's eyes suddenly widened, his face full of astonishment. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him. The 99-style Buddha said Gatling's attack was ineffective. Is the wild boar king's skin so thick? When did it become impenetrable to bullets? Wang Hao was filled with doubts, his face turned pale, and he murmured with chapped lips. This is different from what is said in the book. Brother Wang, sorry, I just used the combat power measurement to test the combat power of this wild boar king, it's 697. The combat power of this mutated wild boar king is as high as 697. The boy behind him also shouted in panic at this time. What 697? Wang Hao shouted in panic. The combat power of 697 has reached rank 1 middle level, which is infinitely close to the strength of a high-level awakener. It should not appear in the novice copy prepared by the school at all. Urgent situation. In panic and confusion, Wang Hao had too much to worry about. When he saw the wild boar king charging towards him, he quickly threw Gatling away, drew out his mecha and sword, and slashed at the wild boar king's head with both hands, roaring ferociously. So what about combat power 697? My mecha master is best at leapfrogging battles. AKBS 9000 is fully powered, the fire propulsion system is activated, and the full vortex supercharging is applied to this sword. Cut the Ruyu divine sword in two with one strike. Stinky wild boar, go to hell. Roar. Facing Wang Hao's 4-meter giant sword, the wild boar king still did not dodge, but roared angrily at Wang Hao, and the white fangs around his mouth were instantly stained with black. Strengthening the body with demonic energy to form hard armor and horny skin, this is the talent ability obtained by the wild boar king after experiencing the demonic abyss. After strengthening, the fangs on the side of the wild boar king's mouth are like a pair of black steel guns. He collided hard with Wang Hao. Boom. Just a moment of contact. Wang Hao's mecha was like a broken sack. It was knocked out by the wild boar king and almost fell apart. The giant sword in his hand was broken into two halves and was thrown to the ground. Brother Wang. Oops. Not good. Brother Wang is going to be pushed hard. Sad. In the field of vision, the wild boar king knocked Wang Hao's mecha away and still refused to let go. Like an old sow arching against a tree, Wang Hao's mecha was almost broken into pieces. A group of people quickly exclaimed, and Zhao Xiaoya was also involved. In a flash, his face turned pale and full of panic. Brother Pig. No. Inside the mecha, it was being pushed up and down constantly, and there was no spark or lightning on the operation panel. Wang Hao was distressed that the mecha he had spent more than 10 million yuan to buy had been scrapped after only 2 days of use, and he was panicking again. If this continues, he will probably be crippled by this terrifying wild boar king. Help, my life is at an end. Seeing that the cockpit was pushed aside, Wang Hao let out a panicked cry for help. However, just when he thought he was going to die, the angry boar king suddenly stopped moving as if he had received some sudden order. After squeaking twice at the cockpit, amidst everyone's doubts, they turned around and walked leisurely into the depths of the dense forest. Until the figure of the wild boar king disappeared. Everyone was still confused and looked at each other unable to understand what was happening. Bang kai bang kai. Deep in the dense forest, under a big tree as thick as 3 people could hug each other. The wild boar king, who had acted fiercely before, was now lying on the ground, mumbling as if he was reporting news to someone. In front of the boar king, a handsome young man stood. He has fair skin, a tall figure, and his handsome features are highlighted by the sunlight. The ferocious and violent beast before was so obediently bowing its head and crawling in front of the young man. If Wang Hao and others saw such a scene, they would definitely be shocked. The boy is naturally Su Chen. At this moment, Su Chen was dripping with sweat, his chest was heaving slightly and he was panting, his breath was hot, and there were beads of sweat dripping from his black hair. He had just finished cultivating the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body. Knowing what happened, he looked a little speechless. He also didn't expect that Wang Hao would actually fight with his wild boar king in a mecha just because he was practicing kung fu. The mechas were all smashed to pieces. Bang kai bang kai. The wild boar king hummed, saying, he was the one who made the first move. Single quote. I was just eating grass and basking in the sun, but who would have thought that a two-legged beast would come up and tickle me? All right, Chen waved his hand at the wild boar king who was complaining to him, come back first. The shadow under his feet expanded instantly, turning into a dark vortex, and took the wild boar king into the abyss. It just so happened that his rank 1 skin refining was over, and the previous feeling of being full had disappeared, replaced by the familiar feeling of hunger. I need to eat to replenish energy. Chen walked out from behind the big tree and looked in the direction of Wang Hao and others. The wild boars in this area have basically been devoured by him. He was going to hunt wild boars in another place. After filling his stomach, he could continue to start a new round of Golden Jade Dragon King body training. At the same time, he could also devour a few more wild boars to help the wild boar king upgrade and strive to upgrade the wild boar king to rank 2 before leaving the dungeon. It's broken. All broken. My arms, my legs. How much will it cost to repair them? The chaotic battlefield is important. Wang Hao jumped out of the cockpit. He looked at his mecha that was broken and shattered by the wild boar king, and showed a very distressed expression. The mecha bought for 10 million, not even 2 days after driving, not even showing off, was broken by the wild boar. Who wouldn't be heartbroken if this happened to him? Even if his family is rich, they can't waste it like this. And now his mecha is so badly damaged that it is obviously unusable. Not to mention delaying today's leveling, he can't move the mecha out later, right? It will take a day to move it. If he doesn't move it, he can't bear to leave it here, but if he moves it, it's too tiring. Xiaoya, you are a priest. Can you help me treat the injury of my mecha? Wang Hao was desperate and wanted Zhao Xiaoya, a priest, to cast a holy light on the mecha. Zhao Xiaoya gave him a look of looking at a fool and asked back. Do you think I can do it? Wang Hao, how about you try? It doesn't need to be completely cured, it's okay as long as it can be driven, so that I can drive the mecha out for repair. Zhao Xiaoya was too lazy to accompany him to lower his intelligence, and rolled her eyes directly at Wang Hao. You think your broken copper and iron are biological weapons, Eva? There's no way it can be useful. She turned her beautiful eyes and stared at the direction where the wild boar king disappeared with doubts, which was a bit strange. Why did the wild boar king suddenly run away? Not only Zhao Xiaoya felt strange about this, but so did the others present. In the previous situation, they all thought that Wang Hao was going to be beaten, but they didn't expect that the wild boar king would run away halfway through the beating. I know, it should be the power of my sword that caused the stinky wild boar to be seriously injured. Although he acted as if he was not injured at all in the end, his internal organs might have been shattered. Humph, if he hadn't run away in the end, he might have fallen to the ground now. Wang Hao gave his own speculation after some thought. Although this speculation is suspected of boasting. But Zhao Xiaoya and others really couldn't think of any other possibilities, so they could only accept this statement in their hearts. 666. Awesome, Brother Wang, you can seriously injure the mutant wild boar king with combat power 697. With such strength, who else can take the first place in the school in the first mock exam in 10 days? Chen, that waste, doesn't even have the right to carry your shoes. The 2 younger brothers Zhongsan and Li Si, who were almost scared to pee, boasted immediately. Wang Hao's pretentiousness was instantly satisfied. It seemed that he could accept the damage to his mecha. Hey, keep a low profile. It's just a stinky wild boar that was defeated, but not killed. It's no big deal. If he dares to come back, I'll kill him on the spot. Scared to piss. Sha. Suddenly, the bushes in front of him shook. A black shadow emerged. Wang Hao was so scared that he couldn't hold back his shock and leaked a few drops. Of course, Wang Hao's performance was still good and he only missed a few drops. As long as he was not embarrassed, outsiders couldn't tell, but the reaction of Zhongsan and Li Si was a bit big. Ah, wild boar. The wild boar king is here again. The 2 younger brothers rolled and crawled back, gushing out feces and urine. Zhao Xiaoya and her best friend also looked nervous, their faces were pale, and their beautiful eyes were filled with fear. They are only 2 or 3 levels, and their health value is only about 2.0 or 3.0. If the wild boar king really comes back, even if the opponent is seriously injured, they will not be able to deal with it, and they will definitely be smashed into pieces. Salsa. Under the nervous gaze of several people, a handsome young man stepped out from behind the bushes. Chen. After seeing that the person who came out was not only the wild boar king, but also an acquaintance, Zhao Xiaoya breathed a sigh of relief. However, thinking that she had been startled by Chen just now, she couldn't help but asked in a somewhat embarrassed tone. Chen, why are you? How did you get into the dungeon? Didn't I tell you not to pester me anymore? It's impossible between us. Forehead. What are you talking about and who is pestering you? Chen was a little speechless. Why did this woman make such random associations? You're not pestering me, then why did you come into this copy of the Wild Boar King? Zhao Xiaoya frowned slightly, with an expression of disbelief. I am also a student of No. 1 middle school, why can't I enter the dungeon? Chen's tone was calm. He had nothing to say to Zhao Xiaoya, a flat-faced and snobbish woman with excessive self-awareness. Snort. I can't even find a good reason when I'm looking for one. You haven't even awakened your professional talent, and you can't fight monsters. What's the use of upgrading to the dungeon, and you're not trying to pester me? Zhao Xiaoya crossed her arms and snorted, very unhappy with Chen's plain appearance. Wang Hao's face was also a little ugly. This Chen was useless and still wanted to pester his goddess. He was really ignorant, so he spoke sarcastically and belittled. Chen, if I guess correctly, you should be the one who was hiding just now after being chased by the Wild Boar King. You are very lucky. I saved you this time. But you might not be so lucky next time. Stop wandering around in the dungeon from now on. I don't have time to save you every day. Especially the wet feeling in his crotch made Wang Hao's voice even more dissatisfied. Oh, then do I want to thank you for saving me? Chen glanced at Wang Hao's mecha parts scattered on the ground. Hello, what tone of voice are you talking about? In order to save you, Brother Wang, our mecha was shattered. You are not grateful. Just say thank you to Brother Wang. Your reaction is so bland. You think you are the Chen from the past. Wang Hao's two younger brothers also got up from the ground and looked at Chen with evil eyes. If it hadn't been for Chen, they wouldn't have been scared to death just now. Most people can't hear it in a short period of time. Otherwise, if others find out, how can they raise their heads and speak? However, they may feel that their trouser pockets are well closed, and Wang Hao and the others may not have smelled it yet, but how could they hide this from Chen? The smell of feces and urine came from Zhongsan and Li Si. To him, it simply stank to heaven. Chen couldn't help but take 2 steps back and fan the stench around him. Afraid that he would be contaminated by the stench and have no intention of communicating with Zhongsan and Li Si again, he turned around and strode away in the other direction. This move made the faces of Zhongsan and Li Si freeze instantly, and their expressions were extremely ugly. It's so nice to say that you don't need help. Look at the sweat on his face, and he is still pretending to be calm for us. Before we came, when he was scared by the Wild Boar King and hid alone, he might have been trembling with fear, sweating profusely, and peeing with fear. Maybe. Look, he's sweating profusely. Ha ha, don't make trouble. Chen is a great genius in our number 1 middle school. How could he be so frightened that he is sweating? There's so much sweat on his body, maybe it's from practicing hard in the wild boar forest. Ouch, I would like to see how much combat power can be improved by the great genius of our No. 1 middle school, if he can reach 100 from his 99. His embarrassment was discovered by Chen. The two of them were so angry that they wanted to belittle Chen through words and save some dignity for themselves. Zhongsan took out a combat power tester and prepared to measure Chen's combat power and humiliate him. Look at Chen. I'm really impressed. He has failed to awaken to the talent profession, and yet he is still working so hard. Isn't he preparing for the first mock test 10 days later? This is because he doesn't want to accept the reality and is still living in the glory of the past. He doesn't think he is some kind of Chen who ranks first in the exam every year. He thinks he can also be the first in this mock exam. I would also like to see if our No. 1 middle school Chen, Daishan, can create his own mythical. Li Si was still mocking ruthlessly here, but as he was talking, he suddenly noticed that Chen was being measured next to him. Zhang San of combat power seemed to have seen something terrifying, and was so frightened that he froze in place. Li Si shook Zhang San's shoulders with a look of doubt on his face. Zhang San, snap. Zhang San seemed to have suddenly shit his pants, his eyes were completely blank, and the combat power tester in his hand fell to the ground weakly. It has measurement data on it. Name: Su Chen. Occupation: none. Blood value: combat power: 359. It turns out that the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor said that after refining the skin to a certain level, it will have the function of gathering breath. Dusk. The golden sunset spreads over the mountains and forests. Su Chen held a combat power measuring instrument in his hand, looked at the basic data about himself on it, and nodded with a clear expression. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.